The following program is presented by the Springfield Township Police Department. I'm Officer Donna Stegman, and I'm inviting you to sit back and relax and learn about how to protect your neighborhood.
Every 27 seconds, somebody is victimized by a crime. There's one murder every 24 minutes, one forcible rape every 7 minutes, one robbery every 68 seconds, one assault every 51 seconds, one burglary every 8 seconds, and one theft every 5 seconds. Until recently, law-abiding citizens viewed crime as a no-win situation. A lonely retreat behind locks, bars, alarms, and guards, and a problem only law enforcement could handle. But today, crime is being viewed in a different light, and attitudes are changing.
As far as crime is concerned, I think more and more people are realizing that it's not a rifle beside the bed, or even increasing the local police force, but rather creating a stronger bond on the neighborhood level.
When it's one-on-one, you and the criminal is going to win every time. But now it's the whole neighborhood against the criminal, and he doesn't stand a chance.
Citizens from Maine to California, Michigan to Florida are all banding together to protect their local communities from crime. They're a tough gang, and criminals are finding it difficult to penetrate communities where these groups are standing guard. Incorporating such names as Neighborhood Watch, Crime Watch, Home Alert, and others, they're telling the potential lawbreaker to stay away, and that's happening. In communities where Neighborhood Watch programs have been organized, there's been a dramatic drop in burglaries, robberies, and violent crimes. In Seattle, Washington, crime is down by 61%. In Detroit, Michigan, within a 155-block area, residential crime has dropped 60%. In New Orleans, Louisiana, 40%. However, the success of Neighborhood Watch is not limited to big cities. Wytheville, Virginia had a 55% reduction in crime where Neighborhood Watch programs were in effect. And in Chatham, Alabama, 45%. Reducing crime and winning back the neighborhoods for the people. That's what it's all about. Law-abiding citizens working together with the law enforcement agencies and having the courage not to look the other way. Take Clearwater, Florida, for example.
In the majority of the neighborhood watches we've established, crime has decreased. In the one particular neighborhood, when we had 55 burglaries in a 3-block area for 1 year, burglaries went from the 55 in 1 year down to 12 in a year, and we made apprehensions on every one of those due to the neighbors reporting the burglary in progress, and then we were able to make an arrest.
I definitely think Neighborhood Watch has been a boost to our neighborhood and to the whole community of Clearwater in cutting down on burglaries and neighbors being more aware of helping each other, not only in a crime sense, but we've had several medical emergencies. We've had a fire on our street.
I know more people now than I knew in 33 years just from this Neighborhood Watch program, contacting people.
I am a strong advocate for Neighborhood Watch, and it has renewed the old-fashioned neighborhood feeling, and that is very important, I think.
Procedures for starting and maintaining a Neighborhood Watch program vary from community to community. Most cities tailor their program to suit their particular need. In general, though, the first step is to get together a group of interested neighbors in your neighborhood. Contact your local law enforcement agency and set up a meeting. At this meeting, decide on a Neighborhood Watch chairperson or a coordinator. This key individual should have a knowledge of the community at large, an ability to communicate, and some free time for planning. Organizational ability is essential, for the chairperson will be responsible for setting up the first meeting of the entire neighborhood, and generating interest at this point is vital. The chairperson also serves as a liaison between the Neighborhood Watch group and the law enforcement agency assigned to the program. The chairperson also obtains block captains for each block, setting up a file with their names, addresses, and phone numbers. Energetic individuals are needed as block captains, for they perform a host of active duties. Along with the chairperson, they also maintain channels of communication with the law enforcement agency assigned to the program. They also assist the chairperson and host block meetings. Block captains personally visit each resident on their block, encouraging participation in the new Neighborhood Watch program and obtaining volunteers who will knock on doors, distribute flyers, and telephone people. Building this kind of door-to-door support is basic to the formation of any Neighborhood Watch program. Most law enforcement agencies require at least 60% participation of the residents in the neighborhood in order for it to be certified as an official Neighborhood Watch area. Once certified, you may display Neighborhood Watch street signs and window stickers. You'll also draw from a wealth of crime prevention resources, such as slideshows on personal safety and literature on home security. You'll learn to be a block watcher, trained to recognize suspicious activities in your neighborhood. If something seems out of place or is happening at an unusual time of day, it could be criminal activity. Be alert to a stranger entering your neighbor's house when you know it to be unoccupied. A sound of breaking glass, loud explosive noises, or screaming. This could mean burglary or assault. Open or broken doors or windows at your neighbor's residence could signal a burglary in progress or just completed. Persons running through the neighborhood or taking a shortcut through a backyard may just have broken into your neighbor's home, especially if the person is carrying something of value. Any vehicle that moves slowly or without lights, or a parked, occupied vehicle could be lookouts for a burglary in progress. Watch for anyone removing accessories, license plates, or gasoline from a vehicle. Door-to-door salesmen offering merchandise at ridiculously low prices could be selling stolen property. These are just a few suspicious situations. The law enforcement agency assigned to your Neighborhood Watch program will describe others. If you see a suspicious situation, call your law enforcement agency immediately. Don't worry about bothering them or about being embarrassed if there is an innocent explanation.
My husband and I have called over noises we have heard out on the street, and things that you say, well, you know, you might say, well, they're really going to think I'm a real flake for calling over something like this, but they're out in 2 or 3 minutes, and they say, absolutely, call us again. If you hear it again, let us know. Don't ever feel foolish.
Keep your emergency telephone numbers within easy reach. When you call, be prompt and accurate. Identify yourself by your name and telephone number. Give your exact location and street address. Tell the dispatcher what happened, where it happened, when it happened, and if anyone was hurt. You can do your part to reduce neighborhood crime by making sure your home is well protected. Perform security checks by inspecting locks and windows, or ask your local law enforcement agency for a free home security survey.
We go out to a person's home, and we take a form with us, and we actually survey the entire house. Doors, windows, interior, exterior of the house, perimeter of the house. We look for any area that may be vulnerable.
Keep your home well lighted. Ask your city or local government to secure your streets with effective lighting. Display your street address prominently. If law enforcement personnel ever do need to come to your home, they won't go to the wrong address. Have your valuables and personal property marked for identification. Thieves often will not steal items that are marked, and if they are stolen, the identification markings make it much easier for you to reclaim your property. Keep your window stickers prominently displayed, advertising that you are organized and protected from would-be criminals. Some communities have used reserve officer patrols to cut crime.
And with our patrols, a little bit more visibility in the neighborhoods, in that respect, that is a deterrent for where crime is afoot. They see that there's a little bit more patrol in the area, and they're going to move on to an area that's not as well patrolled.
You may be asked to testify in court against criminals arrested in your neighborhood. You should be willing to be a witness and encourage your neighbors to do so as well. Stay in touch with your chairperson and block captain, but maintain your own list of everyone on your block and in your neighborhood with addresses and telephone numbers. Welcome new residents into the neighborhood. Explain Neighborhood Watch to them and invite them to join. Attend crime prevention training sessions and share information with neighbors unable to attend. You might consider starting a monthly newsletter informing residents on crime conditions in the city and ways to fight crime in your particular neighborhood. Operation Whistle Help is an ideal way to attract attention. When a person sees or suspects danger, he blows his police whistle. This alerts other neighbors to start blowing their whistles, and within moments, an entire neighborhood can be alerted. Create your own automobile decals and bumper stickers. Some watch groups select a neighborhood symbol to represent their area, such as a star or a horseshoe. If there are many watch groups operating in your city already, think about starting a neighborhood watch co-op composed of all the coordinators or chairpersons from each neighborhood. Plan monthly neighborhood get-togethers to generate and exchange new ideas on stopping crime. Use the news media to promote and encourage a city-wide commitment to neighborhood watch programs. Following through on these and other precautionary measures make neighborhood watch programs work.
I've been out and talking to people when I've explained Neighborhood Watch, and since this neighborhood has really done a super job, I've explained to them about this area. I says, you can't drive down the street slowly in that neighborhood because they'll call a cruiser. And one man says, you know, he's right. I was over here to pick up my child. I was visiting another school friend, and I couldn't find the address, and I slowed down, and pretty soon there was a police car behind me. And the people here care, and you've seen a marked change in this neighborhood, and it really has cut crime down tremendously. And it's the citizens. It's not the police department. You know, we've done our part. We've come out, we've responded to the calls, we've taken action, we've made arrests where possible, where law has allowed us to. But it's the citizens caring, looking out for each other, that's made this Neighborhood Watch a success.
Strength in numbers. You can't beat it. When you join and support America's toughest gang, you're a part of the most effective resistance against crime in the country. And it's just common sense.
It's nice to know when you're at home or traveling far away, your neighbors have the courage not to look the other way. It's nice to go to sleep at night with this peace of mind, knowing someone's helping to eliminate the crime. People watching strangers all through the day and night, always ready to report when things just don't seem right. A feeling of just caring when danger comes your way. Looking up and feeling good 'cause you've helped someone today.
This has been a production of Waycross Community Television.
And of course, Sunday, one moment, Sunday, of course. All of the technical issues, that's what we're going to have today. That's what we do. That's our deal. I still don't know why this thing is giving, every time you join, it's giving you a new link and so it's just making it so I just get completely fucked on setting this up. It's very frustrating for me.
It's okay. I'm taking my pre-audio checkup medication. We'll be fine.
I do what I can. What can I say? Oh, God. Good Lord.
So, I don't know why you didn't call this this stream "Can You Hear the People Sing?" That seemed like it was right there.
Well, I figure we're going to be talking a decent amount at Les Mis at the end. I did miss a lot of those. I think for me, I'm more stunned about it. Every time we do one of these shows, you and I were talking, we wanted to do a little thing this week, maybe spend a little bit of time talking through kind of like, India, Pakistan. Fridays we do a different thing, kind of have that conversation. And I'll tell you, every day there's new horrors, and not like minor news, like real serious fucking shit happening that is awful to me.
My general attitude towards all this, and I'll point to an example that we covered, which, by the way, I'm not saying it's not as terrible as we thought it was, because we don't know. But
this is true.
We covered CCOT. And we looked at a very spooky video that showed an aerial of CCOT. Is aerial the correct term? Satellite image of CCOT. And we saw what looked like a dark red pool and a bunch of tannish lumps in a pile in a mysterious back room. Okay. Now, amidst that, we had a guy who had been taken out of the United States, who was legally there, hairdresser, popped in there under spurious reasons, and nobody's allowed to see him. We presume dead.
Mm-hmm.
A couple days later, comes out, he's talking to a guy, they've dressed him up, he's probably on strings and actually is dead, who knows. And we find out that the building is registered laundry. Now, the building having a big laundry sign on the front of it does not mean that it is a laundry building, and it doesn't mean they wouldn't use a laundry building for that. It doesn't mean the stuff we saw in the background is there for whatever. We just don't know. And I think something to keep in mind with all of this is that there is a serious thing to consider in terms of proximity. Sometimes proximity in time gives you access to information that you wouldn't have if a little bit of time has transpired. Sometimes it's actually obscuring because there is we have blinkers on and we just have stuff flashing and there's no shape to it.
Yeah. I mean, so filling the zone with shit is the strategy. The challenge, I think, and the slight difference here is, like, it's not just shit. It's filling the zone with horrors, all of which are almost equally important to the sort of...
I misheard you, but it still works. Keep going.
It's the future of the country, the future of everyone, the future of our rights, the future of legality, the future of world peace. Like, not in a existential way, but in a material way. They're actively working to destabilize things in a really weird constant across the board. And man, it feels different. It feels different than, like, I think it's 100% different than the first Trump advent. It would be my argument. It's completely different than that. But, like, it's just a lot. The reason I named the stream what I did, specifically, and if you're up for it,
he's got a reason for the name. Oh no, go on.
Well, what was the Reichstag fire? The Reichstag fire was the excuse that the Nazi Party used to get rid of habeas corpus. Like that was Article 1 that they instituted, got rid of a whole bunch of rights and legalities and basically dismantled the legal system. And I think there's a real question to be asked is, like, well, what if they just said that it burned down? What if there actually was no event? What if it actually didn't happen? Because I actually don't think it needed to. And I think that's what we're kind of seeing, because...
Hey, there were no cell phones back then.
Well, the thing that's happening right now, the excuse Trump is using for all of this, by the way, the Emergency Powers Act that he put in place, is that we're under invasion. That's why the tariffs are what they are, and they can be held by him, is because we're under invasion. It's an emergency. It's why he's able to deport people and do what he's doing. And as he's using that excuse, there is no invasion, not by anyone's standards of any stretch of any statistics or any reality of it. For people on the ground, there's issues and problems, but an invasion is just not true.
Speaking of, did the Reichstag fire need to happen? My resolution is astonishingly low. Why is that?
Not on my side. You're okay.
Seems to have corrected a little bit.
Weird. You are darker than me. I can brighten you up if you want.
That's not the consensus, but okay.
Well, I mean, you're definitely.
Oh wait, no,
darker.
Here we go. Hang on. I've got some tools here too, which I didn't realize I did.
That washed you out. That made it a lot worse. That zoomed in, but it didn't increase resolution.
It is really. Why is it so low quality? Try refreshing it.
That's fantastic. That's much better.
No, I'm huge though. What happened?
No, you're huge. No, you're not. You're huge. You're fine. I don't know. Ignore chat. Can I say ignore chat? Your camera is darker than normal. Is all I'm going to say.
You're also colonizing about 10% extra of the of my territory.
No, you're down the middle. You're down the middle. I'm looking at the measurements. We're 2 pixels difference.
It's better. You have the black background. You can't really tell how bad my camera is.
I have a green background, technically.
I'm going to probably buy a new one soon. This is getting a little ridiculous. This shouldn't be this bad. It looks a lot better on my channel. So I'm just going to put this down to more Brooks Sabotage.
I don't know what to tell you. Don't know what to tell you. Let's see. Yeah, like I've literally added like the most limited filters. It's off, on, off, on. I've made you slightly brighter is the only filter I really have running right now.
That'll do.
Now
it's all good. It's all good. Don't overthink it.
I'm jumping you up a little bit. Increasing saturation. Making you gray. That's a little bit better. Fuck it. You run a dark stream.
I do.
We're gonna get you a light box. So we're gonna get you a light box. We're gonna set that up. We're gonna get you some light. But right now the excuse we're having is the invasion of America by people, by bodies, effectively. There's no country doing it. There's no people actively doing it. But the invasion is that there are more bodies and that they are illegal. And that excuse, even though there's nothing there, is being used in really just awful ways, I think. For example, one sec. There we go. Much better. I think this article sort of gets it, to me at least, gets sort of the point across. In Worcester, as was yesterday.
Worcestershire.
Worcester.
And the sauce would have been a good channel name.
It's Worcester. It's pronounced Worcester, which is fine. But it's pronounced Worcester. There's a video, and it's blurred a little bit. You can see what it is. If you can't, it's an underage poor girl who is slammed to the ground by multiple police officers. And we're going to watch a little clip, and then I want you to hear what happened, because the mom who was arrested and another woman who was arrested who's not an illegal, and this woman, it's complicated, but the story she tells, I think, is the big deal. So we'll watch this clip, and I think there's a lot to talk about.
I've got a flanger. What?
Money.
Oh, apparently I've
Gangaro's
got a
tipped $3.33. The 1932 Prussian coup d'etat had already set the stage for Hitler before the Reichstag fire. The Chancellor von Papen overthrew the SPD gov there and installed himself as governor there. This continued under Hitler.
What's going on?
I don't know. Apparently the audio's doubled and at different speeds. Let me hear it.
Oh. There. Fixed. Sorry. That one's on my end. I've got things to figure out. It's okay.
Okay.
That's fixed.
There was a donation I didn't hear. What was that?
It was Gingaros letting us know specifically, with a little bit of extra history, that it isn't the Reichstag that really solidified Hitler, that he was solidified before that, and the Reichstag was like a final nail. For me, the point specifically I'm aiming at, though, is that the Reichstag was the excuse.
It was a justification for suspending civil rights.
Correct.
That's it.
And that suspension of what we consider civil rights, but I think are the basis of all laws, like habeas corpus, which is the government or the state needing to prove that a crime happened, which is baseline shit. That's the specific one I'm focusing on.
Pinned down in the street by ICE agents. We blurred the video because she is a minor, and scenes like this are becoming more and more common around the Commonwealth.
And we want to bring in NBC 10's Alicia Palumbo live in Worcester this morning. Alicia, obviously we see the video here. It was a very disturbing scene.
Very disturbing, Raul, but we want you to judge for yourself. We want you to take another look at that exclusive video and a listen to that exclusive video captured by our Telemundo New England cameras.
Stop, ma'am! Stop! Stop!
Definitely a chaotic scene on Eureka Street Thursday as Worcester police and ICE agents detained a mother and her 16-year-old daughter. That girl's face slammed into the ground as she was taken into custody. They have not been identified. Worcester police said officers were dispatched to the area for a report of a federal agent surrounded by about 24 people. When police arrived, they say the teen daughter was holding a newborn baby in her arms and standing in front of the ICE vehicle that was trying to leave with their mother inside. Officers told her she was endangering the baby, so she handed the newborn to a relative, but police allege as the ICE vehicle drove away, she ran after it and kicked the side of it. She was arrested and charged with reckless endangerment of a child, disturbing the peace, disorderly conduct, and resisting arrest.
Go back. Kick the side of the vehicle? Go back.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it.
Oh,
that's it. That's what this girl did, allegedly. She kicked the side of the vehicle.
How many fucking people are there? Like, what is this?
It's like there's over a dozen cops. It's fucking insane. For this girl who kicked an ICE vehicle. But when you hear the rest of it, it gets worse.
Also arrested was Ashley Spring of Worcester, who police said pushed multiple officers and threw an unknown liquid substance on them as they tried
threw water on them
to arrest the teen. Spring faces several charges, including assault and battery of a police officer. We spoke with Spring moments before she was taken away.
This is the interview for me. That is the thing. This woman. This is the story that the right wing has always told, is they're going to come for people and take them away without warrants, and we're going to have to do something about it. That's the story, and this is the thing.
ICE was here, the community gathered. We found out that they didn't have a warrant. They didn't have not just a judicial warrant, they didn't have a warrant at all. They wouldn't present it. And the community decided that these women were free to go, and the women decided to go and exercise their right to leave because they were not being detained. At that point, the police continued to try to brutalize them, to rip the baby out of the mother's arms, 4-week-old baby it looks like, and the community tried to intervene and help them.
As far as I'm concerned, that's the whole story. I don't even give a shit. Because we know from multiple times, including judges who have been arrested, that ICE doesn't have warrants for what they're doing it anyway, and then arresting people who stop them. This is the elimination of habeas corpus, the production of evidence, production of a warrant. Any of those things that are the last-ditch protection of any citizen against the state are gone. And this woman, good for her, threw water and apparently kicked a cop. Fuck that pig. I'm good with that. As we continue and make that move, this is what's going to be happening. And I find it horrifying.
Well, the creepy thing about it is that you can sort of tell what the move is, which is these are ICE agents, these aren't normal cops, and so there's going to be that distance. Their very unprofessionality and their lack of training is going to be their shield against their poor conduct.
These are real cops.
Yeah, those are real cops, yeah.
And it's the...
But here's the thing. Once you get an escalation going, great. The real cops are off the hook.
Correct.
It's crazy.
And this is, like I said, if you didn't have a Reichstag actually happen, would it matter? Because that's the excuse they're using, is this lie of this invasion. But, you know, this girl, 17-year-old, yeah, she's an invader. That's who we're using it against. This woman right here, invader. These things that we're starting to see happen. And then our friend, Stephen Miller, the Jewish Nazi, openly says, and it's awful, that the Trump administration is actually looking at getting rid of habeas corpus. Like, he just flat out says it, actively looking at suspending it. Which is I don't have anything else for that.
What's the, I can't see the whole article. What's the justification? Is there
well, we can watch the video, because he opens with it, And he opens with his reasons, and it's a whole thing that I was just like, are you fucking with me? I was...
Under conditions of invasion.
Well, that's the justification is the same that it's been. The Emergency Powers Act. The Emergency Powers Act was justified by the invasion of illegals and gang members and criminals specifically, which actually we've learned are a far minority, a tiny minority of people arrested. And again, they're also not given trials, so we don't even know if those are true.
It's also strange to regard it as an invasion when the people are already here and have been here for some time, which is precisely the motivation for the entire impetus, is to get rid of people that were already there who were aggravating them.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
Mr. Miller, how are you?
I'm great, thanks.
Jordan Conrad.
I have a conference call that I need to run to, but since you all are graciously gathered here, I'll take a few questions. And
this didn't get shared. My bad. Let's share that tab instead.
I think you also just had like an hour with Caroline, so I don't want to step on that too much either. Hold on, there's a question back there first.
I have 2 quick questions.
Looks kind of like a chicken hot dog in a suit, doesn't he?
He's a Nazi. Straight up. Jewish Nazi. Which is amazing. It's this is a thing.
President Trump has talked about potentially suspending habeas corpus to take care of the illegal immigration problem. When could we see that happen, do you think?
Well, the Constitution is clear, and that, of course, is the supreme law of the land, that the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus can be suspended in a time of...
The privilege of the writ of habeas corpus, the phrasing of that is intentional.
Invasion. So to say that's an option we're actively looking at. That, of course, is the supreme law of the land, that the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus...
It is, of course, the supreme law of the land.
So
can be suspended in times of invasion. There is no invasion. Congress has allowed this to continue because the Republicans are on board with this. This is a concerted party-wide effort by the Republicans to undo everything.
This is a Disney version of the Sheriff of Nottingham, is what this is. It's the level we're operating at here.
It is fair. It's fair.
I would say that's an option we're actively looking at.
Like, just that language, just for a second. Which is the supreme law of the land, the privilege afforded to these rabbles. Like, who fucking talks like that? You're on a news station talking about policy. Yep. Say, hey, we are looking into sustaining habeas corpus because of a crisis. That's how you talk. You don't go, which is the supreme... Keep going.
And no, the Democrats are not also in on it. I'm going to be really tired of that as a thing. The Republican Party is 100% on it. Some Democrats are helping it, but the Democrats as a whole are not supporting it. That's not how that works. It's not.
No, the Democrats are weak. They're Democrats who are playing a cynical game badly.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, like, what people need to understand, this is one of the reasons why people who are like, we will punish... I love this. We will punish the Democrats for supporting genocide by not voting for them and letting Trump come into power. Okay, Bad Empanada.
Then this
Trump's
happens.
in office, the Democrats are punished. What's phase 2? Oh, the people you were trying to influence have no power anymore, so it doesn't matter. Okay. It's so stupid.
Good work.
It depends on whether the courts do the right thing or not. At the end of the day, Congress passed a body of law known as the Immigration and Nationality Act, which stripped Article 3 courts, that's the judicial branch, of jurisdiction over immigration cases. So Congress actually passed, it's called jurisdiction stripping legislation. It passed a number of laws that say that the Article 3 courts aren't even allowed to be involved in immigration cases.
This is actually, again, he's doing this really amazing thing. And where we can blame the Democrats, Biden utilized this, Obama utilized this. This is a thing Democrats did do while they were in power, is they ceded more power to the executive branch. But he's also misusing exactly what the laws were, which is not a shock. I don't really need to go into it. He's a huge fucking liar piece of shit. But it's a really fascinating thing to watch as he does this.
Many of you probably don't know this. I'll give you a good example. Are you familiar with the term temporary protected status, or TPS, right? So by statute, the courts are stripped of jurisdiction from overruling a presidential determination or a secretarial determination on TPS when the Secretary of Homeland Security makes that determination. So when Secretary Noem terminated TPS for the illegals...
They're so clever. They're so smart. They figured it out.
Yeah.
Those clever devils. He's so proud of himself. It's like...
It is. It's genuinely like the, to me, it's like sovereign citizens, where they think they have this like magical set of words that justifies what they're doing or the setup. And at the end of the day, what are they doing? Oh, they're literally just destroying themselves and everything we care about. Like, that's it. At the end of the day, they're getting rid of habeas corpus. And here's the fun thing. They're saying things like, well, it would only be for illegals. That's not how habeas corpus works. Like, it's for everyone or no one. If it's only for illegals, that means that if you're arrested as an illegal, you can't prove that you're a citizen. That's how that works. That's what habeas corpus means. It means that no one has that right.
Fundamentally, like, it's not even just a matter of rights. That's a factor. Like, citizenship has been absolutely devalued because the institutions that protect citizenship have been attacked from the side. But additional to this, the capacity of the state to even determine what your rights are is completely destroyed by not having any of the verificatory institutions having access now or jurisdiction over people who are being processed by different branches of government. Like, congratulations, you got a bunch of people who got D's in high school who are making life and death decisions on the fly in a desperate attempt to have Elon Musk not fire them because he doesn't know what the buttons do.
And when we go back in time and look at the Nazis and look at the arrest by Jews when they were rounding them up, throwing them in, doing all the shit that they were doing early on before there were even outright death camps, the arresting, the destruction of Jewish businesses.
Makes you almost nostalgic for the administrative competency of Italian fascism, doesn't it? Jesus Christ. Continue, please.
They would... Everyone's like, well, why wouldn't Germans have stood up? Well, they probably did. I mean, we have record that we know that people did stand up.
They did.
But they were taught quickly not to by the police and brown shirts, which is literally
mostly by the brown shirts, because here's what happens. The brown shirts start beating you up. The police come up to see what's going on with the brown shirts. The brown shirts say you started it. The police beat you up and put you in a cell or shoot you. That's how it works. And that's what we saw here. Some hooligans with basically no training, with no paperwork, probably no understanding of the paperwork that they need, are molesting people on the side of the road. And in the kerfuffle, now the police have a perfect justification to come in and just start packing people into vans. It's great. It's great. It's like a sieve.
Yes. And it is it's a lot. And when we start talking about how far this goes, the Supreme Court is going to be hearing a case about retroactively canceling legal status. Retroactively.
Which, by the way, is the entire destruction of the legitimacy of literally any American legal decision, because now you can't trust any of them.
Yep.
It's remarkable how there's like the art of the deal guy has no concept of, hey, you need to establish a precedent of follow through, otherwise none of the stuff you do will have predictable results.
Well, it's everyone talks about how he's a brilliant businessman who's done a billion things. And like they say this about Elon too, but they're both businessmen who actually never grew a business. They're, at best, for Elon, people who are alongside a business, but didn't actually do very much. And Trump was born into money and somehow failed to do anything. He lost across the board. He exists in a space of rent capital.
No, you don't understand. You don't understand, Brooks. No. See, they're still rich afterwards. They succeeded. They're smart.
Yeah.
So
well, they don't know what it takes to actually have a business. I keep going back to the line I said a while ago. I can't remember who said it, that Republicans are house cats. They are very, very happy the way things are, but they have no idea how those things get to be there. And that, I think, is more and more the truth every day. As we see, these people have no concept about the legal world that allowed Trump to have all of the court cases, bankruptcy, and legal realities he's in. That they have, for Elon Musk, basically built his entire empire, that very legal framework that he's used and abused. But they don't understand that. They're far too stupid to understand the foundations of the very system that enabled them to have the success that they have.
It's not even a matter. I mean, I wish it was that that easy. It's not even a matter of them being that stupid. They are, additionally to that. But it's also that even if they... dumb people would operate better. Why? Because they might actually make that transition to where when they're in power, okay, we're governing now. We're not the underdogs anymore. We don't need to make cartoonish shows of power that destroy faith in our ability to follow through even as bullies. We can now start using our brains a little bit. But they seem incapable of doing that. Like this guy, this Oscar Mayer Wiener guy over here. He seems really proud of himself. He's really cool. That, look, guys, we found a loophole. We figured out how to. We're really clever. We're like Sherlock Holmes. Okay, we're like I don't know what's another cartoon TV genius. Like, he looks like a moron, and he's broadcasting to people, "Hey, we're just breaking down your rights. We've got there's no term, there's no end in sight. There are no conditions under which habeas corpus will not be suspended. It's just, look, we figured it out. We looked in the rules because we're super sleuths."
Doesn't matter who the Pope is. No.
Why didn't that be TTS?
It's $2.
Oh.
You've asked me that many times. You're the one who said to limit it to $5.
I know. That was a mistake.
It's fine. I actually think it's
for exactly that reason. Consistency matters.
I'd rather have the Bing, and then we can go back. I'd rather not even answer them in real time. But hey, this is where we're at. Yeah, I find it fascinating, and
yes,
I think
who the Pope is matters, by the way. But go on.
It matters to a point.
It matters a lot, actually. I'm gonna say it matters a lot in a soft wave that hits a lot of things.
He's supposedly and seems to be someone who is more middle of the road or on the compassionate side of things, and has been anti-Trump and anti-JD Vance, which is pretty great as far as things go. But it has really upset the right wing, which is hilarious.
Which is good. We like popes who upset the right wing. That's actually kind of a big deal. What you really do not want is the Catholic Church being right wing from the top down. You want it right wing from the waist down, which is where it's at the moment.
Fair.
Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you as you were.
No. This silly place that they're in is just kind of at this almost terrifying thing of, when we're having a conversation about the end of habeas corpus, we're actually talking about the end of the rule of law in almost every single way or case or way that it functions. And as soon as that happens, which is already happening, again, the reason this ties together is that this woman basically said, "Hey, habeas corpus." And they went, "Nah." And she went, "Well, you can't." And they went, "Oh, we're arresting you." And there you go.
And the response was, "Hey, look, so we've run into this problem, obviously. We have people not respecting habeas corpus, so we figured out a solution. Just going to get rid of it."
Yeah, we're just going to get rid of it.
So we can just brutalize American citizens and not respect their constitutional liberties, just without the complicating factor of, having those matter at all. Just imagine this. Imagine like the non-sentience it takes to be like aroused by this and be like, "Oh yeah, Trump's got him now." It's like,
we got her.
It's got all of you. That's the problem.
We got her. Look at her. We made her mad. Yeah. It's like, dude, like literally the end of process. Like, habeas corpus is no joke. That is like having the implicit destruction of it is horrifying, and is a thing we continually can push against. And it's been a thing most of my life. There have been examples of habeas corpus being suspended. It happened post 9/11 to an extraordinary number of people of Arabic descent and Sikh descent. Just awful, awful shit. It happened prior to that. These things are just wild. And
Isn't habeas corpus just a social? Yes, it is a very important social construct.
Yes, it is.
Social constructs kill lots of people.
People don't understand what social constructs are, I think. They're really funny.
You're taking it too seriously. I think that was ironic.
I trust nothing to be ironic anymore.
I wait for them to elaborate. Once they start complaining about the liberal bias, then we know. But until then,
fair. It's a thing I've seen people saying a lot lately, which is kind of fun. Aren't you lefty? Don't you only believe in material things?
Poe's law.
Yeah, fair. And the silliness of this, but it's working. And again, Stephen Miller, just to continue his little rant,
and flew into the country. When courts stepped in, they were violating explicit language that Congress had enacted, saying they have no jurisdiction.
And like they care about what Congress says.
That's a good thumbnail, by the way. Save that quick. That's a great thumbnail.
I'll take it.
By the way, you should take the tongue there. You should put where his eyes are.
I'll take it. That works for me. That works for me.
So it's not just the courts aren't just at war with the executive branch. The courts.
I told you Sunday.
You'll have to narrow that down.
Q writes, you guys hate social constructs.
Yeah, I'm going to need more than that. That could still be...
That could still be sarcasm. All right, fair enough. That could still be
Yeah.
sarcasm. It could be very, very good sarcasm.
Are at war, these radical...
No, the sarcasm still sucks. I'm just saying it could be sarcasm.
That's fair.
You're not funny. Continue.
So all of that will inform the choices the president ultimately makes, yes.
Mr. Miller, to further incentivize deportation of illegal aliens, is the administration considering going after businesses that knowingly employ illegal aliens?
Well, they already have. Worksite enforcement, I don't have the exact statistics, but it's at multiple hundreds of percent. So the increase in worksite enforcement has been dramatic, it's been immediate, and that will continue.
Why is President Trump moving to dismiss 3 Democratic members of the Consumer...
Why don't you have exact statistics?
Because he doesn't care. Because he doesn't care. And there hasn't been a ramp up on businesses. They're not going after businesses. They've never gone after businesses.
No.
It's a
They're
silly,
apparently going
silly
after
idea.
school children.
Yeah, exactly. They're going after kids, and they're going after young women, and they're going after old people. They're going after non-criminals. We knew this.
They're going after ones the average American cop can keep up with on foot.
Well, and it's one of those things when you start talking about like the actual stats of this. Biden had more deportations in this amount of time, same time last year in those 100 days, than Trump has had. And it's tough when you start because apples to apples, oranges to oranges mentality. We're talking about like I think Biden had 50-ish thousand and Trump had 38,000 in the 100 days. And so, well, why is that? Well, Biden didn't round up people because people were going at the border and they were getting caught at the border. They were being held and then deported. So those same stats, someone who comes into the country for 12 seconds and then is deported. Look at the Remembrance Project for real stats. Oh, see, I told they're just Remembrance Project. Yes, crimes are committed, Q.
Oh no, they're still joking. They're still joking. Okay.
You think so? You know what?
I think
fair.
so. Let him hit 20, then ban
him. The hilarity around like they would deport people, but Trump doesn't have people doing that, and they really don't have people militarizing the border like they're telling. So the people who are being actually deported are being rounded up like this. They're going for what they called low-hanging fruit, not the worst of the worst, which was their promise. They're going continuously after green card holders, actual people who have a green card, like a legal ability to be here. People who judges have ruled can be here legally. Suddenly they're not, without warrant, without any trial, without anything. And again, this is why habeas corpus is important. If it applies to some people, it applies to nobody. And it's really amazing. Like that they keep doing this and that they keep running with it. The evilness of this, I think, is combining with the stupidity. Right? Like the stupidity is pretty extraordinary. And we're seeing it across the board again. unless you have more comments on this, I do think moving to...
Just that I just learned that the Remembrance Project founders' last names is Spinoza, which I enjoy.
Do you guys? Does everyone know what the Remembrance Project is?
The Remembrance, it's still active. The Remembrance Project is a think a low budget version of the ADL, but instead of defending the murder of Palestinians, it provides soft defense for the illegal arrest of random people on the street, because a long time ago somebody got killed by an illegal immigrant, and therefore who needs freedom anymore?
Yeah, it's anytime you have people collecting statistics on or specific incidences that they're dramatizing of certain groups done wrong by certain other groups.
Anytime you see somebody parading the corpse of a child in order to defend a conservative political platform, just remember, they do the same thing to that child, depending on their ethnicity.
Yeah, they don't really care.
They don't give a shit.
The Remembrance Project as a thing is about people who are wronged or done wrong by illegal immigrants. And illegal immigrants who we know statistically do far less crime generally than Americans in general. Here, I'll let them speak for themselves because they're...
What do you mean they do less crime, Brooks? They're illegal. It's in the name.
Yeah.
Stolen lives. Senseless murders. Family...
Tens of them.
They've decontextualized large-scale things in a country of 350 million people.
No, let's
no. I know you want to
make the decontextualized part. Let's let them have it. 4? Wow.
Devastated.
That's all you could get? That was your thing. You had 4 strips. You had to fill the screen with 4.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because the decontextualizing the very function of it by having one is all they really need to make stupid people get scared and to take the symbolic elements that are there, woman killed in home by illegal, and to go, oh my God, my wife is a woman in a home. Like that's all it takes.
I am so excited for when you move on to the next part of the Deleuze footnote thing that you're reading through, so you stop saying symbolic every 10 minutes. Oh, it's going to be so good.
Oh, that's...
I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying.
What footnote thing?
I can always tell when you're reading something new because your language changes just ever so slightly. It's just boom, there's the thing. I'm on to you. I know
this is a fairly running thing. Representational space. I tend to say I'm trying to simplify it.
You're doing it more. I can tell that there's been a shift. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying.
I'm writing the piece for my introduction to symbolic logic. So yes, I'm going to use a little bit more wording there.
Completely preventable.
Fair catch.
The heinous crimes of illegal aliens extends beyond just breaking our laws by crossing into our country. They're responsible for the killing of tens of thousands of American citizens, while corrupt politicians stand idly by and the
tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands. Over 45 years. It's like there's always that fun footnote.
Well, hang on, wait. Even over 45 years, tens of thousands is a lot. So I have to ask, are they just including every overdose? Are they just including like every overdose death that doesn't have like a clear... Where are they getting that number from? How are they generating that?
I mean,
tens of thousands is a lot.
One sec. I mean, again, Q's clearly very smart, and the people who run this are smart. They certainly would have somewhere on here the statistics. I mean, Q even said, go to the site for the stats, and I'm just not seeing it. Let's see. I'll move it down so people can see I'm clicking on everything. We have at the top here, they've got a couple more little things for us to look through. It's
all right, look.
Angel families,
criminal U.S. Customs here. Well, let me pop this up for you.
What if it was my wife will child on Remembrance? See, these fucking people have no ability to like. No, they have no ability to like read shit and like understand it contextually. They have to individualize it. The world is mine. Don't you know the entire world exists for me? I'm only allowed to understand the world by my own egotistical little tiny solipsistic view of things because I have the brain of a baby. That's their entire existence. They don't understand that there's literally billions of people globally and that you can't just go, I'm so mad because something happened to someone else. And even though that family may or may not want forgiveness, I don't care because I have my own mental problems because my parents didn't love me enough or whatever the fuck it is.
I disagree.
Wild.
I think he's a few yellow super chats away from convincing me.
Yeah,
I think
keep going, buddy.
I'm seeing you got your finger on something there. You just got to tap it a bit more, okay? You've almost got me. Almost. But my eyesight's not so good. I'm gonna need to see that with a different color background, okay?
Yep. No, Gingeros's comment, Gingeros was being very sarcastic there. Just so you know, I'm okay with the comment. Gingeros was making the point that in that video we were watching, they started showing the news media and then they put up a Jewish anchor because that's what these people do. Look at
all
this.
Right, okay. I will say this. Chat. Word to the wise.
Just don't be quite
as much as I respect Brooks on ethical grounds and philosophical grounds and all those other things. Listen to me when it comes to Fed posting advice, okay? If you want to have longevity on the platform, be a little selective. I agree. Be a little selective.
You got to add the little sarcastic. Gingeros, it came across wrong. You got to remember we have.
I know who Gingeros was.
Yeah, we literally have people who are like Q, the kind of people who would write that kind of shit. So, a little care, but yeah, it's.
I think, I like it. I like what Wig's doing. Okay, it's discipline.
You all got Western guilt. We got Western guilt. Says the guy who's probably never traveled the world in any capacity. We have Western guilt. Good job, buddy.
Yeah, I've never traveled the world in any capacity.
Yeah, but it doesn't limit you. It does limit him. It's a sad little space.
Here's the thing. Western guilt. No, I don't know Western guilt. I wasn't around for most of that. I have no buttons that control any of this. However, I've got a couple of inputs into the decision-making apparatus of my state, and I happen to notice that it's done a lot of really bad stuff, and it continues to do a lot of bad stuff, and it hasn't fixed a lot of the bad stuff it's already done. So, I've got this wonderful ability to point it out occasionally to people. That's it. That's not Western guilt. That's, hey, our Western tradition, our much lauded Western Christian ethics, they tell us that enslaving people and brutalizing people and stealing from people is bad.
Sunday says he's more savvy about navigating Fed posting, but whose channel is currently monetized and whose isn't. Curious, TF.
Well, A, this is a joint channel. B, I have another monetized channel. C, several very large channels were also demonetized at the exact same time because of an algorithm change that targeted any mention of a certain very hairy, unkempt person whose name I will not mention.
Yep. And we'll also mention,
by the way, he was there. You preempted me. He was there.
I was going to say, it's not the best example because I was on screen and it very well may have been me. So
it was a joke Sunday. I agree. I'm just pointing out how funny it was.
It was a joke, but it also did literally. These people are just the worst. Well, it's like Clinton admits Lincoln Riley would still be alive. Look, again, they focus on a person because tiny-brained children don't have the ability to think the rest.
Didn't she die in the 90s?
No, I don't think so.
Which one's this?
Killed by an illegal alien while on a jog near campus 22224.
That's a different one. Okay. Oh, look. Oh, good. There's one person there. Great. So this is wonderful. Do you know what these people are? These are people who watch for any news of a homicide, go, it was a brown person. And then they take their face without consulting anybody and they just paste it to a website. And let me tell you a secret. They don't fucking care what happens to the immigrants because they get a lot of money based on morons who will give it clicks because they're frothing at the mouth about it.
And they will offer to take care of the family's bills and pay them extra money on top of it in order to ensure, and legal fees, in order to keep the family in their place and to keep them on board with what's happening.
You know what they'll never do?
It's a fun thing
This
they do.
Lake and Riley, 22-year-old nursing student. Do you think they ever like looked at her social media posts, what her politics were? They ever looked at like what she cared about, or did they just did they just skin her face and paste it to a website to maybe do stuff that completely erased and overwrote what she actually cared about?
Riley
We don't know what this
specifically,
person was.
I mean, her mom is a hard Trumper. We know that, or at least has been deeply involved in such things. But again, a horrible crime. I can name horrible crimes. Is that like the contest? Is that how it works? Is we get to just jump and have a single crime be the face of everything? Because if it was, can we talk about all of the things that the right-wing terrorists have done in America over the last 20, 30 years? And
no, there were none. They don't exist. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a child's view of the world. It's very frustrating. And it's running things, but again,
I disagree. Children have an openness and innocence about them that lets them actually learn things. These people are like dinosaur bones. Are the taco trucks worth it? Have you ever tried one? They're really fucking good.
Taco trucks are not the price of this, and this is not the cost of that. It's fun to relate things together that we know happen together because I culturally string them together because I don't have an understanding of the world. But the rest of us actually think differently about stuff. So good work.
By the way, you know, just FYI, MS-13 are coming over and starting taco food trucks. Just so you know, that's not the racket.
No. And
all right, gang, we're gonna go into America. We're gonna sneak into America in the back of vans, and we're going to make the best fucking tacos they've ever had.
These are the arguments. Like this is, and it's the thing that I'm stunned by, because again, what if they just said the Reichstag burned down? Because that's all it took. None of these things are like a real problem. None of these things are a real incident. They're all contingent things that are re-narrativized. And the larger invasion or mass murders or crime sprees, none of this exists in any capacity. So what if they just said the Reichstag burned down? Would that have been enough? My money's yes.
Also, you know what you could also do? Which, by the way, has been a liberal principle for hundreds of years. You could just stop criminals at the border and let everybody else pass through because that's good for your economy and it's good for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, it's making it illegal. That makes it so that people are operating outside of the law without protections, without any modern monitoring. That's what makes it a danger. It was a liberal principle. It was actually a principle of the political philosophy that went into the founding of the United States Constitution, that you were free while under a law because you could choose your sovereign. That's the whole notion of tacit consent, because otherwise it's a rather funny thing to say that America is a land of the free when they are all free according to specific rules as articulated under particular frameworks by force without any say in the matter. That's not freedom. That's like saying you're free because you're allowed to do whatever you want in a game of Monopoly where someone's holding a gun to your head. If you stop playing it, they'll blow your brains out. Can you even have a state without a nation? Of course you can.
The fuck?
States precede nations as a concept, yeah. Easily.
Vassal states is a term, for example. Also, nations can exist without states, too.
No, states are administrative legal structures. When you're looking at Aristotle's politics, let's go way back, okay?
No cohesion. You know what this guy's doing. Come on.
I don't care. We're going to have fun with it.
Do it. Give us a lesson.
Yeah. Sure. The way in which states were understood to operate for thousands of years, and they were understood to operate this way for thousands of years because they operated, was that a regime type, a state type, is strictly a formal arrangement for who gets to make decisions about what happens within a given material area. That's it. A polis, Athens, what is it? It's a certain assortment of people who are able legally to hold political office. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Do you know what never came up in Athens? What do we do about all the black people? Didn't happen. Wasn't really a thing. That wasn't really a problem. Why? Because they got a lot of their ethical innovations from Egypt, but leaving that aside, it didn't matter because it wasn't evident that race affected your behavior, because it doesn't. It doesn't.
Again, the idea of
hang on, they didn't exist. Athens didn't exist. We're good. It's okay. Never mind. We solved it.
Yeah, nationalism as a thing didn't even really exist until like the late 17 to 1800s as a thing.
Oh, fuck that. Nationalism didn't exist until the late 19th century.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like it's a very, very weird, again, the place that I'm at is the only way it ever could be for everyone, and everything relates to my little brain is the same mentality over and over.
Here's how nationalism works.
Just like it's unbelievable.
The idea of a nation, of an ethnoi or whatever, that's old because it's just family. It's just like, hey, you're a son of this person, the son of this person, the cousin of this person. There's a whole group of people over there, and they're sort of more related than other people are related to other people. That's a thing. That's been around for a very long time. The idea that a nation, quote unquote, is the kind of thing that can have borders, which is what we're talking about in modern day when you're talking about coherence, that's new.
Yeah.
Just the coherence of what? Nation state. You're talking about the state as equivalent to the nation in some respect. That's very new. And here's why it's new. French Revolution, okay? The French aristocrats thought they were Germans. Yeah, they thought they were a noble race that had enslaved the lesser races and ruled over them through right of the stronger, and they were chill about it. Why? Because they won. Until they didn't. And when they didn't, they ran to Germany. And now all of a sudden, the race is being attacked by the lesser race. Nationalism is an illusory loser ideology where you suddenly find you can't win, and so you fall back on the chickens are revolting in order to justify your continued existence as anything other than a contingent historical farce.
It's to quote Doug, it allows you to take credit for things you have no actual hand in whatsoever. That's all it does. So it gives you a thing where you can say, you would be speaking German if it wasn't for us. It's like, us? I don't think I had anything to do with that. I'm pretty
nationalism.
Sure we got trashed last week. I don't think during that time we went and saved the UK, but that's what nationalism is. It just allows you to take credit for people's works, people who you've never met and don't know and have no involvement with, and get to pretend like you have anything in your pathetic existence. And the reason you do it is because you have a pathetic existence and you're aware of it and you're impotent and you don't have anywhere to put it because America's political structure doesn't allow anyone to put it anywhere. But instead of looking at that, you want to be angry and you want to chase that down. It's really, really frustrating.
But to end the one guy that we're being subjected to, their last comment before they were silenced by Lisa, I think, was nationalism is natural. Okay, let's run
really?
that. Let's analyze that for a second. Pray tell, if nationalism is natural, if nationalism is natural, why is it an ism? Why is that a stance people have to artificially adopt? Why is that not the default? Very few people are arguing about, hey, we need a state to run in a particular kind of way. Hey, we'd like... Why is that a thing that people can opt out of without just catastrophic personal anxiety if it's natural? Why is that not the default of everybody?
People really think, do they understand that borders as a concept didn't really
don't
exist before the 1600s? I think Westphalia is the first time.
Not even.
Westphalia had some of that, but it wasn't like borders.
No. The idea of sovereignty existed, but here's the crucial point.
Well, the idea of sovereignty came because of the Westphalia piece of...
No, not exactly. You got to be careful here. because sovereignty and borders, they aren't actually really connected, except in this respect. Sovereignty obviously is unitary. It cannot be shared. Sovereignty is singular. If it's shared, then a collectivity holds the sovereignty. Okay. Normal people who move around and have more than an abstract existence have no part in sovereignty. Sovereignty is the abstract domain of the decision of a body that exists fundamentally in theory. You're talking about a sovereign decision being held by X thing, which in between decisions more or less doesn't exist. The idea of sovereignty being tied to borders as an ethnic filter, as a thing where X group of people can't cross here, and X group of people can't cross here.
It is. Well, it's fair. It's with Westphalia.
Why do you keep muting me? Stop doing that.
I'm not doing it on purpose. We have.
I don't believe you.
We have multiple inputs. It's a whole nightmare. It's a whole thing. So
lies.
I know. It sucks. What am I going to do? You know.
It's exactly what happened in the Anastasia movie.
All right, I can fix it. Give me 2 seconds to fix it. You can do your thing.
Nah, it's too late. I'll just be muted for the rest of the stream. It's all good.
I'm good with that. Application. 1 sec. Window count.
Why do you have multiple inputs? That is a wonderful question.
I don't have multiple inputs. So we have. I can just explain. It's very easy. So Sunday and I are using Video Ninja in order to do the stream, which is a browser-based connective system that uses WebRTC for video and a few other things. Seems to be working very well. We were using Jitsi, and if we've tried others, how you do remote recording is a nightmare.
Jitsi. He's just racist rants. He just mutes me and just goes on these Hitler-esque tirades. This is unreal. Go on, as you were.
2 seconds. I need to.
Seems to be working very well in quotes.
It is now. I mean, it's getting there. It's the trouble is that having this setup, he is recording where he's at and streaming it to me, who is the one broadcasting to you. All of these things come in as various sources to me that have to be put into OBS as a thing. And so how do I put them in OBS? Well, I put them in as Windows or browser sources or audio capture or whatever it is. They're all their own different inputs. So when I have Ninja, Video Ninja as a source, which is what I put it in when we were doing testing, but I also have us watching articles. They're both in the browser. They're in the same browser because they're ultimately in the same program, which Windows uses as a single output. You can't break these browsers up unless I have multiple types of browsers open. And then we tried that. It gets really hairy, really, really fast. So now they're in the same browser, which means the same audio output. So in one scene, I had it as the Ninja Mix. Another, I had it as the Article 1. And now I have it all under Article 1, which you just saw me do. So it's fine. It's all a nightmare. It's a nightmare. And there's no simple way to do this. For how silly it is, it's amazing to me that there isn't better software and better things out there for this type of thing that allow you to do stuff like a switchboard does in traditional broadcast. It's kind of confusing to me that this is how, after years, especially multiple years of Twitch and YouTube becoming billion-dollar industries, that there isn't any money put into it.
It's their fault.
Projects,
of course.
I mean, I for Twitch, it's because they don't make money, and so because they don't make money, they can't invest in their own infrastructure. I mean, that's accurate.
Super chats to be read up by TTS have to be over $5. We need to put the rules there somewhere. I think on the screen would be good at some point. That'd be a good thing to put into the little bottom thing, which, by the way, is scrolling really slow.
It is. Well, I changed the speed, and I can update it if you want.
No, it doesn't matter right now, but I think in the future it'd be nice if it.
Well, anytime you want, we can go over.
That's like annoying me. It's like a snail. Oh, I don't even want to look at it anymore. Do you think Shiloh Hendricks will be held accountable? Here's my take. Do you know who Shiloh Hendricks is, right?
Yes.
Okay. Who's Shiloh Hendricks?
It's a white woman who has made hundreds of thousands of dollars of swearing, because ultimately, ultimately the reactive nature of the entire situation enabled people to feel very good about helping who really is kind of a piece of shit. And it's kind of incredible that it's become its own thing.
Here's the thing. Will Shiloh Hendricks be held accountable? Shiloh Hendricks, like everybody involved in all of this, is a creature for environment. Here's what we need to understand about Shiloh Hendricks. And I say this with full confidence based solely on the facts of the case as we understand it. This is a sad, stupid, uneducated woman who will waste that money and who will have a miserable life. And I feel nothing but pity for her. These kinds of things, these events of people like this being used as vents for racist sentiment are super common under conditions like these. And you should just bluntly ignore them. Laugh at them. Like, point at them as the clown shows that they are. But as far as Shiloh Hendricks is concerned, I feel nothing but sadness when I think about her. I know people like that. She has no clue what the fuck she's doing. There was no reason to think that it was just because of the environment she felt. This evil, powerful person felt empowered to do this. No, she's stupid. This is the poor white American that these psychopaths suck the blood out of. They tell them they represent them and they care about them, and they don't.
They don't at all.
This money, it's like when a poor person wins the lottery. Oh, I'm going to give it to my friend, to my brother, to my aunt. I'm going to go out and buy all this cool stuff, and it's all gone, and I'm in debt. Fuck, I ruined my life. That's what it is. These people, there's a kind of person in the world, unfortunately not the kind who should mostly be targeted by this, which tends to mete out justice on itself. She's one of them.
She's absolutely going to, that's where she's at. She's going to find a way to somehow turn this into something that is ultimately undoing the thing itself. I mean, she already is. The right has embraced deeply to the point where there's no problem with saying the N-word anymore.
She ain't starting a Hawk Tua podcast, is all I'm saying.
No, she's not. Yeah. It's a
P.S. is forgetting he's as mediocre as the rest of us. Well, if I was as mediocre as the rest of us, you wouldn't be paying me, would you? There you go.
Fair enough.
I'm just slightly more mediocre than the rest of you, really.
Maybe. That took a second. What the fuck?
Yeah, what was that?
I don't know.
You were thinking of something harsher, and then you decided better.
Money.
Gangaro's tipped $3.33 in my neighborhood in Pennsylvania. One house has an LGBT flag, and the house next to it has a Trump flag.
Goddamn.
Well,
I opened Stream Elements to check on a thing, and that's when Gingaros sends it. By the way, thank you, Gingaros. Goddamn. You donated too strong. I opened Stream Elements to check on why the other thing went long. And Gingaros Trump's fucking at the same time. Wonderful. Mwah. You deserve it. You deserve it.
Wait a minute. Double TTS.
It's
You're getting my desktop audio.
No, I'm not.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
I know exactly. I literally just described how I got how double TTS happened out loud.
I've had a long day. Okay.
That's fair. You want to talk about the nation of Barbitopia? Because
they've been stealing from America for too long. Okay.
Yes, they have.
You gotta give trumpets to.
And our dummy leader accidentally called Toy Firm Mattel a country, but also said that he's going to basically put tariffs directly on he's going to put tariffs directly on. Come on, you fucking thing.
With companies like Ford and Mattel recently saying they're going to raise prices on certain products, how long do you think the American public is going to be patient and wait for you?
Well, I think they're saying that just to try and negotiate deals with me.
He thinks Mattel is saying that just to negotiate deals with him. He thinks Mattel is saying that, hey, by the way, we're not going to be able to bring all of our manufacturing here. It would make everything too expensive. We're just going to eat the tariffs and Barbies are going to be more expensive. Oh, they're just trying to make more deals with me. But I like this part.
Okay, they're not. Look, tariffs.
Do you think the American public?
Did you like the laugh?
I probably would have if I could hear it, Brooks. We're gonna need to like print out a thing that you just tape to your monitor.
Yeah. Keep giving me shit over it. Makes me feel good every time.
Good.
You feel
Good, I'm
free to.
glad.
Do you want to do this? Do you want to be the one to broadcast it?
No.
No. Do you remember saying that you'd rather not, and you're really glad that I'm the one doing it?
Yeah.
Yeah, many times. Except on stream, it's not. Remember that? Remember all those times? I remember.
That's right, bitch. Press play.
Saying they're going to raise prices on certain products. How long do you think the American public is going to be patient and wait for you?
Well, I think they're saying that just to try and negotiate deals with me.
I love him. It's his brain's dying, and he doesn't understand business, and it's amazing that Mattel is trying to.
Can you replay that? I'm sorry.
Saying they're going to raise prices on certain products. How long do you think the American public is going to be patient and wait for you?
Well, I think they're saying that just to try and negotiate deals with me. They're not.
Did you like the guy's laugh?
Yes.
I like how he has his own like.
On certain products. How long do you think the American public is going to be patient and wait for you?
Well, I think they're saying that just to try and negotiate deals with me. They're not.
I'm not going to lie. The first time I thought that was you.
No, I know. It's because it's so. It reminds me of there's that Simpsons moment where the class is like laughing at this French class starts laughing at a kid, and she goes en français, and all the kids go That sounds just like that.
Yeah.
But here, ready for this? This is how stupid this guy is.
Look, tariffs are the most misunderstood thing maybe in any form of business, anywhere in business. Oftentimes the country picks them up. Oftentimes picks it up. The people don't pick it up. Okay, the people.
Again, just
the people
again.
Maybe in any form of business, anywhere in business. Oftentimes the country picks them up. Oftentimes picks it up. The people don't pick it up. Okay, the people don't pick it up. And if Ford did that, they wouldn't sell.
Who's?
Yeah, he is saying that the country or company are the ones who pick up tariffs.
He doesn't know what tariffs are. He doesn't know what he's doing.
He doesn't know what profit is or margins. Because again, he's only ever rented things to other people. And he's never looked at a book in his fucking life. Because he's been bankrupt multiple times. He's been, investigated for cooking the books and lying about. He doesn't have a concept of mathematics. He isn't functional, and this is who's leading the charge.
People keep telling me that I cook the books, but I hire a private chef specifically. He doesn't know what a tariff is.
Not at all.
He thinks, look, push, Vance, push the button that makes Mexico pay more.
I want to know why this black lower bar won't go away.
With companies like
there it is. Thank God.
That's a very Trump
saying they're going to raise
right there.
prices on certain products. How long do you think the American public is going to be patient and wait for you?
Well, I think they're saying that just to...
tipped $3.33. Remember when Trump said the great late Hannibal Lecter?
Did he actually?
Yeah, he did. He did.
Because I got news for you. All the Hannibal Lecters are still alive. Including the one with an E.
Yeah.
Or with an O, rather. Lector. Which one's the Brian Cox one? That's the Lector.
Mm-hmm. That's just...
to try and negotiate deals with me. Okay, they're not.
I love that laugh. I don't know why. It's great. I'm going to clip it later. It's great.
Look, tariffs are the most misunderstood thing maybe in any form of business, anywhere in business. Oftentimes the country picks them up. Oftentimes the company picks it up.
I feel like tariffs are a super simple concept.
He doesn't understand. Again, these are people who think that business people create jobs because, again, they're really, really stupid and overconfident with their own knowledge. And so when they say something like businessmen create jobs, then why wouldn't a country just eat the cost instead of passing it on to the consumer? Because, again, Trump has no concept that, for example, here's why he's very stupid. He's a real estate guy. It is very common, right, for people to, when they rent a place, pass on the costs of what that mortgage is or the monthly cost to the consumer. And if those payments go up, so does rent. And he knows this. And he's not able to equate the two because he's stupid.
Yeah.
We have someone who's screaming in chat about us defending USAID because they don't understand how things work.
Who?
I know. We got a $2 super chat a bit ago, and then they've just not shut up since. And then now they're going to try to go to...
Was
Streamlabs
USAID
link is
good or
around.
bad? I'm confused. She had a funny message on her dono page. Do you think... Oh, it's a Shiloh Hendricks person. Don't be... look, here's what you need to understand, okay, Brooks? You need to come to peace with this fact. There's a very large and diverse number of people that come to certain particular political topics. And sometimes, while they may be perfectly functional in certain areas of life, this is one where they're not, and they ask weird questions. And don't assume they're all Nazis. Sometimes they're just confused.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Fair. One sec.
I'm going to be starting reading Lacan this month.
I'm very sorry.
Yeah, me too. Apparently I have to.
The USAID thing is very simple. USAID is commonly used for soft power by the CIA and the US around the world. It is kind of like, on the other side, though, the things they do to get soft power is good things. So, when, for example, the US, in order to maintain power in Kenya, for example, or Rwanda, gives $500 million to AIDS treatment and to help the indigent and whatever that is, and they do it in order to maintain power with the local government, that money is still going to mostly that stuff. And so you have to decide which is more important for you. Do you want those people to completely have nothing because they've built their entire community around that $500 million or $1 billion or multiple billions of dollars? Or do you just want to make sure that US sound bad and we go away? I prefer the idea of eliminating USAID by properly supporting the local government and helping them build their own infrastructure, which we step away from. But just cutting away from it kills people, and it's killing people globally, and it has been killing people. I think Bill Gates came out this morning and said Elon Musk is responsible for dead kids in Africa. It's a real quote that I was like Bill Gates sucks, but fucking I'll take it. It's a real thing. Yep, here it is. Makes controversial accusation against Elon Musk. That's the fucking title.
Oh, I know what this is.
Come on. Jesus. It never just goes to the fucking quote. The picture of the world's richest man killing the world's poorest children is not a pretty one, he told the Financial Times. That is accurate. It's just flatly accurate. And if it was, by the way, one person who goes in and eliminates USAID who's poor, fuck that guy too. It just happens to be the richest man being responsible for the death of many, many, many of the world's poorest children. So you make a choice and you get to decide. Do you want lots and lots of dead people, or do you want to work and change how soft power operates globally? I figure the latter. There's a lot of ways we could do that. There's politically possible ways we can be doing that, but we don't even have that discussion. Instead, it's the either or. And that kind of leftism is the reason rightism is able to stay in power as it is, because it's not a material, realistic view of space and the effects of the things we're doing. It's just, no, bad. Anyway, the quote isn't even the funniest part yet. I know we've said the funniest thing and shown how he's an idiot, but to just continue with Trump, I like the rest of this a lot.
Okay, the people don't pick it up. And if Ford did that, they wouldn't sell any cars. And if...
Ford is actively doing that. Ford is actively adding tariffs.
Doing what? I couldn't hear anything, Brooks.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Sometimes the country picks them up. Oftentimes the company picks it up. The people don't pick it up. Okay, the people don't pick it up. And if Ford did that, they wouldn't sell any cars. And if Mattel, I don't know, I'm not so sure. They also said they're the only country I've heard. They said, well, we're going to go counter. We're going to try going somewhere.
I didn't realize he actually thought Mattel was a country.
I don't even know if he knows, because
Trump saying that's a misspeak. That is
it's a thing.
That is an assumption.
I don't think it's a misspeak. I go now. See, I think you're giving him too much credit. I don't think he cares what Mattel is, or that countries
obviously
exist.
He doesn't care what Mattel is. But,
he doesn't care about words.
But I think he earnestly saw Mattel and thought it's like made in Taiwan. This one's made in Taiwan. This one's Mattel. Even though Mattel makes their toys in Taiwan, I think. What they did. Yeah.
None of those comments were bannable. Guys, relax a little bit on the shit. Just relax a little bit. It's cool. You're cool. Just chill a little bit. It's
Lisa,
okay.
relax. Wig, relax slightly less.
Everyone chill. None of those comments were bannable. We've got shitheads in here, but there's...
Okay, here's the rules. I'm gonna simplify it for you, okay? Slurs, ban them immediately, okay?
Yep. Slurs gone.
They say anything about X number of people, ban them immediately, okay? Racial groups, you know what I'm talking about. Racial groups or Jews, bluntly. Just, that's it. Third, that's it. Just those two, okay? We'll tell you. Relax.
Yeah, we're cool. We're cool. But thank you for trying. My money is that he goes in and out of any semblance of consciousness, and the words are completely freeform at this point. Because listen to the entire statement. It's wild.
Did that, they wouldn't sell any cars. And if Mattel, I don't know, I'm not so sure. They also said they're the only country I've heard. They said, well, we're going to go counter. We're going to try going someplace else. That's okay. Let him go, and we'll put 100% tariff on his toys, and he won't sell one toy in the United States, and that's their biggest market. I heard that. I mean, I watched this guy talking about how I'm going to go counter. I said, well, I wouldn't want to have him as an executive too long.
It's amazing.
He meant company. He meant company, but still, it's like...
Yeah. But it's in and out, because they're countering. That's not countering. What does he think countering is? He's not countering anything by saying we're going to move production out of China to go elsewhere. Because, and this is, by the way, the thing to be terrified of. This is actually the thing he's doing, where he says we're going to have a 200+% tariff on China. Okay, well, we'll just move our production elsewhere. Oh, well, then we'll just tariff you. But wait, why? What? Because you're not moving production back. But wait, and this is where the fun stuff happens. The nature of building a factory here on its own is silly as a concept. But specifically, Mattel and others... Cue's back.
Mattel and others?
Mattel and others have stated that actually the problem is that you can't build factories because all that stuff to build a factory comes from China. So you've actually made building a factory here financially unfeasible in every single way while these tariffs are going. So just think about that for a second. The actual process of building a factory is itself tariffed, which makes sense. Who makes the manufacturing equipment? Who makes all the parts for those manufacturing pieces? And that thing, again, is contributing to the continuing impossibility of actually having any semblance of a onshoring of jobs.
By the way,
yeah.
Very quickly, what a passport bro is, in case anyone's unfamiliar. Deeply unethical. Essentially what it is you're a very, very ugly, poorly socialized, very pathetic white male retiree, and you make a YouTube channel in which you move to Thailand, and you've got a lot of money, and it's a lot of money for them. So you get some pretty young girl who's decades younger than you, to make you coffee in the morning and be your sex slave, and that's your life now. And these people are subhuman. That's all I would say.
You end up looking a lot like the guys who founded 8chan. Like that's my or I mean, God, yeah. Being an expat is one thing. Being a passport bro is a whole. That's a lot.
There's YouTube channels. They push stuff in shorts. It's really gross, and often it'll be like, look at this giant spider I encountered in Thailand. That's nice clickbait, and then it'll be this wealthy, not really wealthy, not super wealthy, wealthy enough that you can get whoever you want in a starving country, but not wealthy enough that you can get whoever you want in a not starving country, which is an important distinction.
Well, it's you get the way that women here have the general being forced into being sugar babies or having a sugar daddy, and men take care of them in that way, and they'll stay here. They'll go, it's disgusting. American women do that. Now let me go to Thailand and find a pretty young woman because I'm just not wealthy enough to do that here. I have to go somewhere where people are more indigent.
Imagine like being so pathetic that you pay your way into a pseudo loving marriage relationship. Like, that's just sad. It's not even like, because you don't even have the self-awareness of someone who like pays a prostitute. You're pretending like they're there for anything other than you have a little bit more wealth than the other creepy person who happens to live locally who's doing the exact same thing. It's like, have some fucking dignity. Anyways.
Have you watched 90 Day Fiancé?
No, probably not going to.
That's the guy who basically is like a stand-in for Juggernaut from X-Men, Big Ed. He's a huge, gigantic piece of shit. If you haven't watched it, it's really...
Oh, that guy.
He is the picture of the passport bro mentality and the space that it's in, and he is that gross and that much of an awful person. And
didn't he have like a crazy weight loss thing?
I don't know if I followed him significantly.
So I remember he's the guy with no neck.
He is the no neck. Yes. It's a Juggernaut from X-Men. It's like a cosplay. And he's a horrifying human, like genuinely awful. And I think 90 Day Fiancé, if there is a thing about it that is worthwhile, is it shows the way that power dynamic for the poor to the moderate American wealth disparity exists so deeply inside of these countries, where you have women and men going to other countries. The women do this too. It's less talked about, but it's, again, 90 Day Fiancé just really makes it front and center. It's a really wild thing, man. These people
imagine being on that show, and the most famous image I'm just looking up right now is just this, I'm assuming, Thai woman just looking deeply disgusted.
I mean,
money. Gangaro's tipped $3.33. With Rite Aid going out of business, can you talk about the rise of pharmacy deserts? A lot of older folk here in my town have nowhere to go to get their meds within walking distance.
Imagine how far as a country we've come. We have food deserts because of chains like Rite Aid. and Rite Aid and other stores become so prevalent that when they close, because they're basically monopolistic, they then create a pharmacy desert. What the fuck? Pharmacy desert's a real thing.
You can transfer millions of dollars in munitions to Israel and Ukraine at once, but you can't make it so that the people who vote you into power can live to the median life expectancy of a developed Western nation. Like, that's fucked.
I'm gonna add it. I think spending a little bit of time with that is not the worst thing. I added it to the agenda. I think that's because it's a fascinating. Again, this is similar to that thing of the U.S. aid thing, where it's like, well, aren't you happy that big box stores are closing? And it's like, yes, But don't you understand that the reality is that the systemic nature of how people exist and what they buy and how they live, it has that built into it. And when you
It's essentially,
yank that away,
it's essentially exactly what happened to Marva at the end of season 1 of Andor.
dude, we're gonna watch Andor and I'm gonna shit all over it. And I don't need.
Empire had all that money for these mega projects. But
it's not.
no.
It's not the same thing.
Old productive member of society can't get basic medical treatment. Just shameful.
It's not really the same thing. But
they're literally on a desert planet. But yeah, okay.
We'll get to it because I think it's worth going through. There was a great Consumer Affairs article that I think outlined this recently, so we'll add it to the pile and we'll continue with it. But for now, the nature of all of this and how the tariff deals are going and how they're happening, the reality is that to build these factories here actually itself is impossible because of the tariffs that are trying to onshore things. Trump's unpredictable approach to announcing, enacting, even retracting his tariffs has added confusion for this volatility to the market. Nora Orozco, the owner of a footwear company, Evolution Brands, wants to open a Texas factory that would create 200 jobs. But the nitty-gritty of Trump's so-called manufacturing renaissance doesn't work. I like the idea of onshoring, but this makes it impossible for us. It's literally stopping the thing that he wants to solve, or ostensibly claims he does. Again, I don't believe him. And on top of it, we had this other thing with the tariffs that, I don't know if you saw this. Apparently in all these tariff talks, they're trying to get these countries to adopt Starlink as their main internet provider.
Yeah, I saw that.
What the fuck? Yeah. I'm not sure that every time these people do these bald-faced
you have a special needs president who is having a corrupt billionaire whispering into his ear to put a bunch of stuff in that will directly benefit him and put him in complete control over all communications and trade in the entire world. That's it.
The U.S. government is bringing up Starlink adoption in the midst of tariff trade talks with other countries, according to the Washington Post. In recent weeks, several countries have moved forward with licensing the Elon Musk-owned satellite internet company. India, Somalia, Lesotho, Democratic Republic of Congo, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Vietnam. Internal messages seen by the Post suggest the U.S. embassies and the State Department are encouraging countries to make way for the U.S. satellite internet services like Starlink. The messages don't promise lower tariffs in exchange for adopting Starlink, but, quote, they do indicate that the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, has increasingly instructed officials to push for regulatory approvals for Musk's satellite firm. Son of a bitch. Sources told the Post that government officials in India rushed to secure regulatory approval for Starlink with the understanding that doing so could help them cement trade deals with the administration. This week, India cleared Starlink's proposal, bringing another step closer to establishing services in the country. The statement to the Post from the White House. The only consideration in the Trump administration's trade negotiations with other countries is what's best for the American people, which includes American companies succeeding at home and abroad. Fucking just saying, yeah. Yeah, just doing the thing. They're just
but it's
doing
an
the
American
thing, man.
company, Brooks. It's an American company.
It is technically
an American company owned by a South African billionaire.
Illegal immigrant who didn't actually obtain his immigration status legally. He lied on his. There's actually really fun stories there that people have done, because he didn't conclude college, but he had to do that, so they just lied and they paid a college to give him a degree. Because he never finished it. Shit like that. It's great. I love it. Rich people have different rules than everyone else. We know this. All of these things together is where you start talking about, this is where we're at.
Yep.
Man. And then he says shit. I want to read to you a post from True Social, and I'm really just curious how you take it. Okay?
Okay. It would help if you shared the screen, though.
I'm pretty sure I am.
You wasn't.
I am.
The problem with a tiny tax increase for the rich, which I and all others would graciously accept in order to help the lower and middle income workers, is that the radical left Democrat lunatics would go around screaming, "Read my lips," the fabled quote by George Bush the Elder that is said to have cost him the election. No, Ross Perot cost him the election. In any event, Republicans should probably not do it, but I'm okay if they do. Why does he write like he's finger painting?
I
Don't you have like a guy who can post for you? Why is he even doing this? Go golf. I would love it if he just went and golfed and let other people do stuff.
I love that he thinks that, like, "read my lips" was what everyone was yelling.
I'm actually in the dark. What is that a reference to?
On accepting the nomination, George Bush said, "Read my lips, no new taxes," and then raised taxes.
Right.
And everyone now is sort of rewriting history and saying,
Wait. So the radical leftists would be like, "No, George Bush, don't raise taxes."
no, the radical leftists, like, I don't know, Grover Norquist. Like, that's who he's talking about, which were
I'm flattered that you think
Republicans.
that's a name I would recognize. Just
You know, that does paint. God damn, that makes me feel old as shit. Grover Norquist, he would walk around with a petition. Let me get the exact wording. He literally would just wander around. He was the head of Americans for Tax Reform. His thing was that you would pledge, if you were a candidate or a congressman, to not support taxes, period. To work to repeal them, but have no new taxes. That was his only thing, was that. He was a very, very influential Republican because he sucks. It sucks. And what happened is he raised taxes, and the Democrats didn't use that against him. Ross Perot did, and other Republicans who broke, and ultimately Clinton cinched the win. Honestly, Bush was out anyway. It was post-war, and it wasn't a very popular war in the end of the day. But like, it's hard for me to say that, like, that. Here's the thing. Let me put it this way. That he thinks Democrats would be yelling, "Read my lips," as if that's meaningful to anyone, and you not knowing the reference is the fucking insanity of this. People have why is he? I didn't even go, wait, people are going to be yelling, "Read my lips" at him? What the fuck?
Here's the thing.
He never promised anything. Like,
it's the radical left Democrat lunatics language that continues to perplex me, which I know it shouldn't. But it's like, the Democrats were doing basically everything Trump was doing except for the stupid stuff. There's not a whole lot there. Except for the stupid stuff, they were basically doing the same thing. So,
and again,
he really hasn't done anything. That's the
wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I'm also. Does he think not living up to a campaign promise and that used against him is going to, like, what election is it going to cost him, dude? I mean, that's what he's saying.
That's an excellent question, Brooks. The next one, clearly. He's already decided he's going to be running for president again. It's implicit in this post. He's just there. Yep.
He doesn't want anything to... But in what way would him lying about a thing cost him anything? That's all he's ever done. He's never kept a promise. There's no promises he's kept.
Here's the thing, though. Like, I think he's in a bit of a double bind in that he recognizes that he's an old man and he's stupid to a minimal degree and he's incompetent and he has no idea what he's doing. But somehow, despite all of that, he's come into power again. So, it's like, I don't know if I'm going to live to the next election. I don't know how to do a next election, and I'm legally not allowed a next election, but you never know. And I think that's kind of where he's at right now, where he's just doing shit, then golfing and ignoring the consequences, coming back, doing shit, golfing, ignoring the consequences.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
in
and
the
he
back of
doesn't.
his head, like, maybe I'll be back.
And he has, and again, he's so disconnected from anything meaningful that it's kind of almost absurd. And that's this last thing I wanted to touch on before we move on to other stuff, because I find Paul Ryan, who was, if anyone doesn't remember Paul Ryan, one second, I just want my favorite.
Hold that thought while you set that up. I'll be right back. Give me a second.
All right, fair enough. Paul Ryan did the best photo shoot that's ever been done. If you guys don't know this, this hurts my brain that this exists as a thing. One second. Two seconds. Fuck. I'll just show the fucking entire page for it on images. Paul Ryan was a vice presidential candidate a few years back, and he did my favorite photo shoot of him working out. And these were real photos taken by Time for a Profile. This is what Paul Ryan did. This is how he thought he would be able to endear himself to the kids. Sorry, Daedalus. It's the picture's too fucking amazing. How can I ever not just adore? Look at that face. Look at the pursed lips and the head cock. Come on. Like, this was a real vice presidential candidate. But he had the most amazing musical taste. Do you know who his favorite band is? As a Republican. Okay. Running under, oh my God. Come on, help me here. God damn it. Paul Ryan ran under, fuck. Was it Romney? It was Romney, right?
Paul Ryan?
Yeah. Yeah, it was Romney. They blur together because he kind of looks like a young Romney. This was when Republicans all looked identical prior to Trump. And
I had to disambiguate that in my head between Ron Paul and Paul Ryan.
I know, my brain was doing that. We were just talking also about, like, oh God, like there's too many right wingers that all have the same letters for names.
He's still living.
Paul Ryan or Romney?
Ron Paul.
Ron Paul, Rand Paul, Paul Ryan. We just talked about.
Jesus, name your kids something original, Republicans. Oh my God.
His favorite
Like
author of all time. His favorite author of all time, Ayn Rand. His favorite band of all time, Rage Against the Machine.
Randroids.
Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, but Rage Against the Machine is sold at Walmart. So, you know, it's like poetry, it rhymes.
Okay. Fair, I guess.
That's not fair. It's stupid. I'm just shitting with you. But I can't see this because you're not sharing the screen, so you deserve it.
I'm not sharing anything. I'm literally... The only thing I'm sharing is my friend Paul Ryan and his lovely workout photos.
I would love to be able to see it.
You
That
can
is
now.
That is an AI-generated image. I don't believe that's real.
I know. It's...
Also, why does he look 15 years old?
It's so bad. They're the best photos maybe ever. All of them across the board are like my favorite thing. They're just, this was real. This is not a joke. Anyone who lived through it knows this. This is the Time magazine photo shoot for Paul Ryan. This was real. And he loved Rage Against the Machine. And their response was, you are the machine we rage against, which led to, again, series of some of the best tweets that have ever been sent from our friend Tom Morello. This guy deleted his post where he was like, yeah, he agrees with, this was years ago. Yeah. And it says, what? So Tom writes, what music of mine were you a fan of that didn't contain political BS? I need to know so I can delete it from the catalog. Like, the reality of Rage Against the Machine is inherently anti-Republican, right-wing, anti-border, anti-monetary policy. Everything that Republicans stand for, there is not just one song, but every song covers almost all of it. Yet he still loves and loved Rage Against the Machine. It was his favorite band, and he refused otherwise. He said that it pumped him up. It was his workout music. The lyrics were great. He didn't get it. And
no, I think he got it. I think here's the thing that happens though. All these fuckers think they're the main character, and so they've coordinated in their brains all these ways in which they're actually like all these cool things they see on TV. And it's really easy to do. Children do this all the time. They'll be bullies, they'll be assholes, and they'll think they're awesome. And that's it. Shinji had too much money. He was able to just beat up Asuka and Misato and just be the man while the angels come down and destroy the world. And I'm going to keep using that metaphor till the end of time because it's amazing.
Yeah, it's wild. So here's the thing. There is a running gag almost where Republicans who are extreme right-wingers, who are generally the villain in all of the stories or all the poetry or all the music, love something and consider it their favorite that is literally a story about the opposite of what they do. And Trump is this as well. If you didn't know, Trump's favorite musical is Les Miserables, which, however you feel about the musical, it's I think some great songs. I've seen it live a couple times. It's my dad's favorite musical, who's also an extreme Trumper.
I am honestly not a massive fan, to be honest. I can appreciate it.
I love the book. The book is stunning. Victor Hugo, I think, does an excellent job of sort of a cast of characters and character study, especially for Jean Valjean. But like the complexity of revolution and the reality of poverty and what people are going through. Whether you like it or not, Les Mis is explicitly against everything Trump seemingly stands for.
No. See that that police guy, soldier guy who like throws himself off a bridge at the end?
Yes.
Jean Valjean.
No, Javert. Sorry.
Jean Valjean is Hugo Weaving.
Jean Valjean is Hugo what?
Hugo Weaving, Jean Valjean.
Oh, you're talking about the music. You're talking about the movie. Yeah,
the movie, yeah. I haven't read the book.
Javert is the police captain. Jean Valjean is the hero.
Follow to the letter your itinerary. Said that wrong.
The musical's not very good when it's a movie. Musical's excellent.
The movie was well cast and kind of poorly executed,
and really shouldn't have been made. But that's okay.
Really shouldn't have been made.
I was going to say it's Hugh Jackman is who you mean. By the way,
who was I saying?
Hugo Weaving.
Oh fuck.
Which is okay. That's okay. You got the Hugh, and then the rest of it wrong. But the Hugh was right.
Look down, Mr. Anderson. Sorry.
But it's for those who don't know, Les Mis, musical and book and story, is the story of Jean Valjean, who's a prisoner who has basically been convicted of a crime of stealing bread. Specifically, stealing bread to feed his family who's dying, and he's arrested. Well, it happens, and then they die. It's about the excessive poverty in France pre-revolution and leading up to that. It's actually a gigantic story about sort of the causes of the revolution and everything. So Jean Valjean, he goes to jail. On release, he is taken in by a priest. He steals from the priest and is caught by a police officer, and the priest actually goes, "My son." It's one of my favorite moments. It's, again, my dad made me go see this, and I'm trying to figure out how this works because these moments land with a child. The priest goes, "My son, you stole all of these, but you forgot these silver candlesticks."
Yeah.
And he's like, "What?" And he says, of course I gave this. He's indigent. He needs help. Of course I'm giving these to him." And the police officer goes, "Okay." And he leaves, and he says, "Why did you do this?" He goes, "My son, I've given you these gifts. Now go live a good life." It's like, incredibly powerful, like way to live. Like as a child, it hit me. It's that my brother too. But this is a man who ostensibly hates the poor at every step of the way, is putting people in jail for like literally stealing bread, is deporting people to prisons for doing the same act. And he's such a huge fan of Les Mis.
He's deporting people to prisons for, he's trying to prosecute people who are doing the same act as the priest.
And it carries forward in the movie and the show and the story. And it's why I like Javert's character. It's
very hard to fuck up, honestly. Like there were issues with the recent live action version. It got
the musical's
most of the beats.
stunning.
Yes.
My dad took me because, and I can't remember his name off the bat. He's the guy who also did Man of La Mancha. I got to see him perform live as Jean Valjean. Some of these singers who could do this, amazing voices. And I'm not even the guy who wrote the musical. I'm not even Andrew Lloyd Webber, not fan of these people generally. I really, really like Les Mis. But what happens is Jean Valjean then changes his name. He finds a prostitute who's been basically beaten to death and is dying. And he takes in her daughter and raises as his own, Cosette. And as they grow, he's living a fake life. He's used all of the money to try to be a better man and to become wealthy, and he's become more powerful. And Javert has been chasing this prisoner who got away, who changed his name.
Yeah.
And Javert finally catches him. And instead of Jean Valjean killing him, he shows Javert mercy. And that fucks Javert up so much that he throws himself off a bridge and ends his own life in a pretty fantastically written song about that, because he can't handle the gravity of compassion that was shown to him. The whole movie, the whole story, the whole book, the whole musical is about the power of forgiveness, caring for people, and allowing people to be where they're like. It's an excessively powerful story in that direction. Trump loves it so much. He talks about it. He tried to have it at the Kennedy Center, and the actors are refusing to do it. They're saying, fuck off, we're not doing this. Thank you, Wig, for the 20 gifted memberships. They're saying, fuck off. They're not going to perform for him. Now, why would Trump... How do you not take in any part of this media? There's nothing in. Nothing
I can tell you why.
in it.
I can tell you why. Because he likes the musical. He doesn't care for the story. And here's the thing.
But it's his favorite. It's
Ben
Shapiro's favorite.
How long has he been saying it's his favorite?
Oh, this is a long-running thing. This isn't new.
Since the film came out?
No. Since it was on Broadway. Like, this is a long time thing.
Okay. I think he was taken in by
Ben
the music
Shapiro
and the
for years
production.
has said that the musical is his favorite.
I think they were taken in by the music and the production. It's an artistic part of culture. It makes them feel deep and important for enjoying it. It's probably the only thing they were not lazy enough to go out and see, because it was a big deal at one point, and it didn't have any black people in it. And I think that's fundamentally what it was. That's why I was in Hamilton. I think that's fundamentally all it was. I think this stuff is window dressing. It's how they pretend to be cultured. It's like why all billionaires pretend to be physicists. They want to look like cultured, important, smart, eminent, interesting people, but they aren't.
But again, people like my dad, conservatives, right-wingers, will go see it and they listen to it every day. They actually really love it. My dad read Les Mis, Victor Hugo's book, to me. It was one of the first books he ever read to me. It was that and Cyrano de Bergerac. And again, these are things that right-wingers identify with and do, and I'm fascinated by what they're attaching to in it.
I don't think they are. Here's the thing. Look, why do right-wingers love classical music? They don't. They don't understand classical music. What they know is that it's classical music. So they listen to it because they think they're absorbing its chi. That's what it is. They listen to classical music because this is what sophisticated, powerful, adventurous men do in their Bethesda-produced interpretation of how culture works. No content of Les Mis entered Trump's brain. He went to a thing. This is a cultural event. And this is now what he's based a part of his identity on. He is a person who enjoys Les Mis. It's like how There's that Red Letter Media episode where it's one of their best of the worst, or not one of their like where they do that spin the wheel thing of just random old VHSs.
Best
and
of the
they've got
worst.
one where it's just stalking Leonardo DiCaprio, and it talks about how Leonardo DiCaprio is also a patron. He's also a reader of literature. He read The Old Man and the Sea, and I love I love one of their, I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Rich who remarked the short one. And that's it. It's he wanted to be cultured and intellectual because at some point it crossed his mind that's a thing people admire. He went to go see a Broadway musical, the only one probably, and then he left because there's not enough sex in it. There's not enough action. It's on stage. It's kind of boring. But he watched something. He suffered through something intellectual and cultural and sophisticated, and that's it. He doesn't care or understand anything about any of this. He doesn't spend time thinking about it.
Well,
it's not like he's watching this. It's just like not clicking.
This might be true.
Yeah.
No, but here's a fun little story.
All right.
There was this big thing because there was the governor's ball this year. Trump attended, and the Army choir sang, "Do you hear the people sing?"
Oh my God.
And people were really upset at the Army choir for singing this because for
They
those
should
who
be.
don't, the song "Do You Hear the People Sing" is literally about rising up against the state and the government. Do you hear the people sing? Sing the songs of angry men. It is a song of a people who will never.
Smith Black super chatted $5. Brooks, Trump likes Les Mis the same way people like The Sopranos. They like the aesthetics and not the blatantly obvious social message.
Yeah, let's just assume that's the case. This is where I want to think, and I think we can start to figure out where that line is. Because, so they sing this song.
Yeah.
Do you hear the people sing? And he asked for it to be sang. It turned out it turns out the Army choir doesn't just sing whatever the fuck song they want in protest of random shit. Turns out they're given songs, and he asked for this song. The line of where their investment is or how they understand it and where the aesthetic is that razor thin, because the song, "Do You Hear the People Sing?" You even laughed when I said it. He asked for it. And that is, I mean, if you're going to pick a song from Les Mis, it ain't Bring Him Home. If you can get someone to sing it who can really nail it, like chills, fucking chills. And that's you could say as a non-political-ish bent. But he chose,
yeah, but involves emotions and so on and so forth that someone whose entire personal life is a wreck, who is loved by nobody on this earth, would probably not enjoy very much.
Right, I'm sure. But I think this is where the lines of where this is, I find it, will you give all you can give so that our banner may advance? Some will fall, some will live. Will you stand up and take your chance? The blood of the martyrs will water the meadow of France. Do you hear the people singing the song of angry men? It is the music of a people who will not be slaves again.
It's like the libertarians. It's like Dagny Taggart and Ayn Rand. Yeah, shudders.
Well, this is I think the point for me, and this is the part I'm genuinely consistently sort of coming back to confused. Like, the way people take in things at this level clearly has to be because of, it's the same stuff I was saying earlier, the representational symbolic thinking. They can attach it to anything. They're just putting themselves in the center, and clearly whatever their position is correct. And so for Trump, it is the people who rose up who won't be slaves to the left and the Democrats. And to me, that is such a fucking hilarious reading of Les Mis that I almost want to run through the entire fucking musical and like rethink it as a position that you'd have to be in order to be there.
I disagree. That's what they're doing. I think it is part of this big Baruch imaginary that they have of how culture works. and it just doesn't count anymore that way. So they are absorbing into this is a realm that they think that they are welcome and invited to and appropriate in, and it doesn't occur to them that this is anything ongoing, that this is continuous with anything in the present world, and that they are the villains in the story still. I think that's it. I don't think it's a matter of self-insert. I think they think it's a dead thing, because their whole notion of art is just, I mean, you've read conservatives talk about art. If it's not aggrandizing you in some way, which literally just means big cool feels, making people look like statues.
Sure, but in order to make it through, the early parts where Fontaine is dying, and telling the story of that, and how
no. See, here's the thing.
This is the opening of the fucking play, and it's like when Fantine dies, and she's crying about the men who ruined her and how she's continuously used and spit up by society and no one gave her a chance. How do you have any semblance of like pathos or existence that takes that as anything but that? How do you go, yes, just like what the Democrats do?
Because a man stepped in and saved her daughter, and that's the only part they remember. Look how good the man was for doing that. That's all it is. They don't. It doesn't. It's unfortunate that she didn't play a bigger part in the story. And
but a man doesn't step in. But a man doesn't step in to save her daughter until later. Like,
yep,
she's immediately sold into effectively slavery.
Yep.
So,
yep.
How do you do and make your way through the whole thing with the motif of look down, which is about the people who are the drudges of society who aren't able to,
I'll tell you,
look up? How do you mentally handle it? It's
incredible. I'll tell you. You see, Jean Valjean was lifting big pieces of wood and moving rocks, just like Dagny Taggart did at the beginning of Atlas Shrugged.
I know you're making. I'm being serious.
I'm not even making a joke. I'm being fully serious with you. Literally, they see man who later becomes hero and does momentous things, lifts rock. That's the engagement. I'm not joking. I'm not. You think I'm memeing right now? I am actually being completely serious with you. I think that's the actual engagement. I think that's it. I think they watch this with all of the reflective capacity of a zombie.
What a sad existence you'd have to be in to not take this in and allow it to engage fully. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just...
You'd have to be an addict whose entire existence is seeking revenge for the ruin that is every meaningful human part of your life, which these people are. You can read their Wikipedia sections about their personal lives. These are people who have failed as parents, as husbands, as everything that matters, and they have a tremendous amount of money and a tremendous amount of power, and all of this is about just keeping momentum up so that they don't have to stop for a second and recognize that, hey, you're at the edge of an abyss and there's nothing on either side of it.
I'm not disagreeing. I think it's just my dad made us see this every time it came through, and I do like. I think I find it an emotionally powerful and interesting. Again, Andrew Lloyd Webber sucks generally speaking as like a thing. I'm not a big fan of a lot of stuff, but Les Mis, there's good writing. It's a great story. The book is amazing. Victor Hugo, I think, was kind of had a very special style. To not dig into some of the lines or to have the lines hit you and to have that surface level of a grasp of things or engagement is so fucking insane. It wasn't Weber. I thought it was who did Les Mis?
The music. You mean who wrote the music?
Yeah. Oh, it's Schoenberg. It was Alan Bublé. That's right, Alan Bublé. Sorry, not. I keep saying the wrong guy. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's Alan Bublé. That's fine. Doesn't matter. It's fine. It's fine. I've been getting it wrong. It's not. I was thinking of. I don't know why I thought Alan True Lloyd Webber wrote Miss Saigon. Why would I equate him with Miss Saigon? Doesn't matter.
Hang on. Wait. There's a 1980 version that Ellen Bubler wrote, but
why am I thinking that Andrew Lloyd Webber did Miss Saigon? Because I was thinking of Miss whatever. It doesn't matter.
I don't know. Continue. As you were saying,
I'm not a fan of a lot of his other works. I think would be the short version as a thing. But Les Mis has phenomenal, like lyrics and stories, and they take the elements from Victor Hugo, I think, very, very well. And I'm very.
Les Mis isn't a great man story.
Les Mis is not a great man story. It's the opposite.
And anyone who even seems to appear as a great man fades in ignominy and meaning, and not meaninglessness, but like there are no movers and pushers who are geniuses and heroes and whatnot. That's not what happens in there.
No one in it makes a choice. Like the closest you get to the great man or the prime mover would be the priest. That's the only person who like makes an affirmative choice. Everyone else is reactive in the entire story all the way through. That's the nature of society how it's coming about. It's the opposite of a great man story. And
there are there are choices in the sense that people are motivated to do a thing based on environmental circumstances they wouldn't have otherwise done. Like that's a thing. Like obviously the thing that they do has to do with their particular configuration in conjunction with the event that causes them to change their trajectory in some way, like Jean Valjean becoming a philanthropist after being given the candlesticks. But like there's no sense of like, oh, this wretched setting was waiting for someone exceptional to come along and steer the course.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't happen. It's a bit of a trick, because like when people talk about like, oh, no great man, what do you mean? So individual people don't do things of moment that actually, like, obviously they do. We can point to them. The point though is that that's not because there's just this weird ferment of normies and then somebody special magically pops up who's like, I'm the king now. That's not how that works. It's just like, yeah.
No, it's the thrust of it, and it's the reason I always liked Les Mis, is the way in which it is about sort of how people react to their circumstances and the conditions they live in. And it's a thing that from the beginning, Victor Hugo's book is about that all the way through. It's about the conditions people are in and how it creates types of people, and how as he gets older and how these things pass and how he's in different situations that he's able to be or turns into a different person, because there isn't really like a core person underneath it. It's instead the conditions we're in and how we sort of respond to those. But again, I just am sitting with like, I don't know. I'm not disagreeing, generally speaking, with anything.
I don't think we are disagreeing at all. I think the main thing is like, there's not really an answer to what you're saying, because it's fundamentally what you're pointing to is just a spiritual abortion on the part of these people. I'm just agreeing with you. Like, these people are fundamentally incapable of sincerely engaging with stuff to any extent where it affects them, where anything meaningful about it affects them. When I was going into high school, I started taking an interest in dystopian novels. Why? Because for some reason, in my head, that was really deep, culturally important stuff, and I was interested in it. So I read 1984, I read Brave New World. I like Brave New World. It was less miserable than 1984. I read, of course I thought so because I was dumb at the time, I read Fahrenheit 451. I think that's what the number is. And stuff like that. And what did I get out of it? Well, really nothing, because I was absorbing just like archetypes and story features that, you know, I'd be able to reference later on in life and think about more. But fundamentally, like, it was all premature, and it was just kind of like, oh, here's a bunch of cool sort of political-ish stuff. Great. This is someone who is doing that as an old man.
Oop.
Smith Black super chatted $6. The problem is that you have too high an opinion of humanity, Brooks.
He really
You need to
doesn't.
nurse a healthy hatred of humanity.
He really doesn't.
I don't. That's the part. That's the part I think that I can.
Here's the irony of all this, which none of you guys understand. I'm the optimist of the two of us.
It's accurate.
You don't even know. You don't even fucking know.
So you watch as, and again, the aesthetics of it and everything. You watch as Javert is found out to be a spy in the barricades, and they sentence him to death. And Jean Valjean goes, "I'll take him," and he throws him out and shoots in the air and says, "You go. I've saved your life. I blah blah blah." Like he refuses to do. Which is
not the end either, because he still pursues him afterwards.
No. Wait.
Yeah.
He still pursues him, but Marius, who his daughter Cosette loves, it's a long. Interrelations of people is complicated, but he saves a dude's life, and this dude's fucking shot, and he's walking through the sewers, and Javert's pursuing him, catches him, and Javert lets him go because effectively, he's like, he begs Javert, he's like, let this boy go. He needs to be saved. He needs medical attention. He even says, like, effectively, I'll come to you afterwards.
Yeah.
Like he's let me go. And he goes, take him. And he lets him go. And that very fact that he realizes that he actually did forgiveness, he can't handle.
Well, it's not just that he did forgiveness.
It just breaks his world. It breaks his world.
It's a bit. That's a better way to put it. It's not that the forgiveness is what he couldn't handle. He can handle forgiveness. What he couldn't handle is that his entire existence and all of his ethics and everything he cared about was oriented around service to this abstract ideal of justice as instantiated in the state he was serving. And so when he lets him go, he takes on a burden of sovereign decision making that he can't. When he kills himself, like, I always interpreted that as like a combination of things. It's not just his world's breaking. It's like the only way he can actually let him go and do what he wants to do, which is not let Jean Valjean come back to him, is to throw himself off the bridge. It's all he's got, because he's
his suicide song is really particular.
Yes.
Because now because I owed him, because he did allow me to live. The man holds dominion over me is the phrase he uses, but at the same time, his phrasing, and I really like it. It's a really well written line. Is that this man, by letting me go, he's killed me even so, and that is really the thing that's happening. He can't hold on to this world. He can't be part of it. The world is itself hell.
I don't think it like that. That's what he says. I don't think though that the mercy element is what does it. Yes, he says by letting me go, he kills me so. I think there's wiggle room in there. I don't think it's that the spectacle of forgiveness or mercy is what causes it. I think it is the impossible situation of. It's like if you're at all familiar with Billy Budd by Herman Melville.
Yes.
There's a similar thing that happens there, where there's a long, very, very like short version of it is Billy Budd is a very, very good person apparently, and there's this other guy, I can't remember his name. Other guy is the cook. He's a very bad guy, okay, and he's jealous of the reputation of Billy Budd, so he contrives a situation where he blames Billy Budd for something. It's been like 10 years. I can't remember the details. But before the captain, they're both brought together, and Billy Budd recognizes the depth of depravity of this man, and he punches him instinctively and kills him. He's dead by the time he hits the ground. And then he has to get hung by the captain, who also recognizes it, but he's forced into a situation where it's like, as an executor of the law of his ship, he has to kill this person, even if
he does it.
Has every sympathy.
If memory serves, Billy Budd has a massive fucked up stutter, so he actually can't defend himself when he's under stress. The more stress he's under, and so because he can't do it,
that sounds right. Something like that. I don't know if that.
He could defend himself, like if he had the ability, but he actually doesn't have the ability to defend himself.
I don't even know. I don't know if that's even the case, because the comment made by the captain afterwards. And he like utters Billy Budd's name on his lips when he dies later on, very shortly after the action of the story, is struck dead by an angel of God, yet the angel must hang. He agrees with the justice of what Billy Budd does. The conflict isn't so much
Billy does
competence.
too.
Well,
like
obviously.
his last words are "God bless you, Captain" or some shit.
Yes. Yeah, it's both, but like it's that Nietzsche line, everything done by love is beyond good and evil. That's what the cop in Les Mis can't handle. Is he's making decisions that do break his world, but it's not just that he himself is too weak or something to handle mercy. It's that there's an additional thing going on there. That stopping and letting, that absolute freedom that took place there for a brief period, he can't go back now. He can't see his way to acclimating himself to a situation where he's just like, okay, he's a vessel of this thing. His whole identity was he's an instrument of this larger thing, but he's become the larger thing.
No, it's the final like finale of Les Mis.
I'm sorry, I'm reading into it in a bullshitty way, so I understand.
I get the point in general. It's the principle of the thing being, the transcendent or the ideal being its own thing that can't be shattered, and when it is, to me, it's about for Javert breaking. But again, people watching, people sitting there, and they get through this whole play, and the man Jean Valjean's on his deathbed dying, and they get up for the finale, and it's all the people who've died throughout it. And it's this long chorus with the motif ringing again, and they get up and they're singing as they do kind of throughout it about the wretched of the earth. They're the wretched of the earth. It's like, this is, yeah. I mean, again, I find it just as a confusing thing how people put stuff like that into the filter of, yeah, no, that's why we deport people. I saw Les Mis, and I got to tell you, that's why we deport people. It's kind of like
it's the tragedy of Javert. He was about to catch him, and then he slipped. Damn shame.
Yeah. It's a wild thing, and I find it fascinating when we just have these odd.
I'm telling you, like, you know how there's like there's a crass, shallow, pseudo-critical type of artist that just makes stuff out of piss and feces and they act like it's deep. You know what I'm talking about? Like there's a kind of person who reads Deleuze or Bataille or whatever and thinks, grossness is so fucking cool, man. And that's basically where it ends off. It's the same way, but with shit like this. They like seeing the murder and the edginess and the discomfort. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't like trigger any self-reflection or disturb them in any way, because the feeling of disturbance they're pornographically engaging with for its own sake, because that's what culture is, apparently.
I mean, I would maybe even argue that there's a chance you're even going deeper, that the reality is the surface level and the way that they engage just doesn't have that connection where they even hear the lyrics, or the lyrics are affecting them in any meaningful sense, that they're, because this music's good, and they're like, oh, music's good.
I could have just played the Star Wars soundtrack.
I probably good music. I get it. And just like they think they're the good guys in Star Wars. I mean, and they think Star Wars was not about the Vietnam War at all. Like it's that kind of mentality. They watch Full Metal Jacket and they think it's a right-wing film that's pro-war, like that kind of thing. It's a
It's watching Apocalypse Now. Look, son, that's what men do.
Yeah, unironically, that's the thing.
Yep.
Fuck, man.
Speaking of movies, did you see that? I saw a clip from this recently. There's a sci-fi with Lawrence Fishburne in it. I'm trying to remember what it was called. Was The Signal. It's from 2014. Apparently, I've seen this is being plugged like everywhere all of a sudden.
I mean,
is it good?
It's a pretty good movie.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
It's Lawrence Fishburne. Even in bad movies, he's good. So,
this is accurate. I'm a big fan of him. It's good. It's It's from an era of very particular types of sci-fi movies for about 7 to 8 years that are kind of doing all the same thing. But I don't want to spoil anything. It's worth watching. I'd say it's worth watching.
All right.
It's a lot of movies. Like Moon is kind of playing in the same sort of space. Also wonderful sci-fi that you've probably not seen.
I have seen that one, actually. I saw that one a long time ago.
Moon is
That's with the guy from Galaxy Quest.
It is the
It's the guy
it
from
is the
Galaxy
guy from
Quest.
Galaxy Quest. That's right. Which is also by the way,
Guy from Galaxy Quest, actually.
it's one of the guys from Galaxy Quest. But
No, his name's Guy in Galaxy Quest.
Sure.
Yeah.
His name is Sam Rockwell, and he's been in a fuck ton of everything.
Yeah.
So,
but he's the guy from Galaxy Quest.
He has probably one of my favorite. Do you watch The White Lotus?
No.
He has one of the best lines, like series of dialogue in The White Lotus. The first season was amazing. Second season was pretty good. This third season was fine. My brother said, there's one scene you have to watch for, and I did. And Sam Rockwell's moment is phenomenal. And I just want to encourage people to see it or watch it on YouTube. It's worth watching, I think.
Are you sure you're talking about The White Lotus?
Yes. 100% it was Sam Rockwell.
He's in season 3.
He's only in season 3, and he's only in it for a moment. And he plays, like we were talking about Sex Pats a second ago.
I liked him in Jojo Rabbit. He was great in Jojo Rabbit.
Oh, he's great in everything. I genuinely, he's just wonderful in almost everything he does. 7 Psychopaths, I thought he was great. And he's good. There's one scene where he is a sex pat, and it's great. It's great. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. I'd watch it right now, but, rules. So, that's the thing.
Well, speaking of Les Mis,
the miserable ones.
You're supposed to be watching the
Andor,
the most recent rendition.
So here's the question: how do you want to do that? I was thinking that we just do it in the Discord. We could stream our reactions without the video, and people could enjoy watching along with us in the Discord or whatever.
Yep, I agree with that. You want to do 3 episodes? 2 episodes? How many do you want to do?
2's going to be my limit at a time for this.
2? All right.
Because I am not going to enjoy myself, and I'm going to upset.
You are going to be surprised because this is the closest Star Wars has come to cinema in, I want to say, 30 years. It's really fucking good. It's a
very low bar.
It is. Okay. It is that is a low bar, but I'll go a step further. This is some of the best political television in a long time. It's very good.
Really?
It's very good. The Mandalorian was just what the sequel trilogy should have been. Shut up, Wig. Mandalorian was not cinema. Mandalorian was what a good Marvel movie should have been.
Have you watched what political TV have you watched in the last 4 years?
The Borgias, Rome.
No. From the last 4 years, you said it's the best from the last few. You said the best in a while, so I need to know what you're comparing it to.
Chernobyl. Chernobyl's pretty good. That's not 4 years.
Is it better than Chernobyl?
I'd say it's close. It's on a par, and it has the dubious merit of not falsifying history like Chernobyl does. Even though Chernobyl was very good as a show, even though it was kind of bullshit.
How about have you seen The Diplomat? 3 seasons in, probably the best political show. Genuinely, maybe the best political show in the last 5 years, maybe 6.
Oh, her. I remember her
from The Americans, which was also wonderful.
Kerry Russell, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it's got Rufus Sewell in it. I can't believe I haven't seen this actually.
Yeah, he's fucking really good. The show is.
He was the only,
excellent.
in my humble opinion, the only good part of. I wasn't super fond of The Man in the High Castle, except for the set design. Him and the Japanese guys, they were the only good parts.
I will send that note. I know the guys who did the set design. I worked with them.
There you go.
Really good. They actually, a couple of them live up by you.
I'm not surprised. A lot of them live, well, not for long, actually, at this rate. But
fair. Have you seen The Agency, or the French version of it, which is about the CIA and international politics? The French version's been running longer, but the American version that just came out.
Oh, that just came out last year. I haven't seen it.
Have you seen Mayor of Kingstown, which is an explicitly political show? Fantastic, by the way. No? Kangaroos.
Oh, that's the one with...
Severance is a great first season, and sadly, I don't know if they made a second one.
Is Severance Season 2 not good?
Not for me.
No? What's...
Not for me.
I see there's a lot of people saying it's disappointing. Is it one of those things where it had like a really great concept and then they reduced it for this follow-up?
No, they tried to figure out what to do with it, I think, in a way that it didn't work for me at all, and they kind of tried to turn back on itself. The first season's very good, very interesting, and then I just did not care for the second at all, which is a shame because it's as well made, if not better, honestly. Ben Stiller's, I think, a master, and I hope he gets more shows and more movies and chances to make things. But
I'm trying to think of the last show that I watched. It's been a crazy couple of months.
Aside from Andor.
Aside from Andor, so I watched a bunch of stuff besides Andor.
Did you watch Succession?
I haven't watched Succession. I'm gonna be binging stuff.
These are all easily the
I'm
best
still
political shows of the last few
adjusting.
years.
I'm still adjusting to the new timeline where I'm not constantly freaking out about having to get stuff done. Which I still am, but I'm getting there. The Zoolander guy.
Ben Stiller is the guy behind
Borderline doesn't count, but The Expanse. Expanse is very good.
Andor is better than Succession. I hate all of you people.
The Expanse was really good in the middle.
I think The Expanse... Look, The Expanse... I think Expanse is one of the best sci-fi shows ever made, with the caveat of understanding that they realized they weren't going to get enough seasons to do the final 3 books.
I honestly...
And they could not...
Yes.
I am glad they didn't try, because if they had, when they went...
Oh my God.
Oh fuck, we have how many more books to go? We better get them in there.
That being said...
Pass on that. I think it ended fine. Yeah.
They did the Game of Thrones ending, which I really didn't like. By which I mean, I do not mean the Game of Thrones ending, the actual ending. I mean the part where they're all in a room afterwards, and they all make nice little decisions, and everyone's happy ever afterwards. That bugged me. They had that moment at the end. It was not as bad, nearly as bad.
That's the thing is, you can't, when you're ending a show, you can't do a cliffhanger. And the reality is that moment is, in the books, a cliffhanger. Because shit happens and it doesn't end there.
I disagree. I think some
Name
of the best
one
endings.
show that does a cliffhanger.
The Sopranos.
Sopranos does not end on a cliffhanger.
It absolutely does. They sit down. There's people coming and closing with guns. Then lights
It
out.
ends with his death. Correct. That's not a cliffhanger.
But it is a cliffhanger, though. That's life. Life ends on a cliffhanger. It's how it works. That's the genius of it.
And
it doesn't stop.
Sure,
wrapping it up with a nice little bow.
Whatever you may say, is it also one of the most reviled endings in TV history when it happened? Yes.
Yeah, that's because people are stupid.
So I don't care. Again, so now you're saying, well, they should have ended it in a way that everyone would hate.
Yes. Why to save them for the fucking sequel? The Game of Thrones
No,
people
to
are
end
still,
it so
still
that way
making
they
movies.
they had to put a cap on it so that way they'd be hired to make other things.
Oh, like you mean like fuck, what are they called? Was it D&D? You mean like the guys who did Game of Thrones did, right? They needed to put a nice little cap on it to be able to be.
No, they were already hired onto other things. Like that's why they did that.
Actually they were.
Yeah.
But I think they lost those, didn't they? Like they're not doing Star Wars anymore.
Well, no one's doing Star Wars anymore, thank God. Except for Andor.
Well, actually, actually funny thing about Andor, because Disney's like firing people, right, left, right, and center. They got Andor season 2 in by the skin of their teeth. Apparently, it was a miracle they actually got it funded at all. In fact, there was a really cool horror episode that I was reading an article about last night, where the robot from Rogue One, one of those, was going to be like hunting people in a cargo ship. It was going to be like just a standalone horror thing. It would have been awesome.
That sounds awful.
That sounds amazing.
Did you watch Borgen?
Did I watch a Borgen?
It's a Danish show that got put on streaming a little bit ago. Borgen. It's up there with this the Diplomat for me.
Where do you find time for your family in all of this, Brooks?
I don't really sleep.
Apparently.
And this is what I watch things in the background while I work on stuff and I do other things. And
that's cheating. You're not really watching it. I get in the zone when I watch things.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Winds of Winter isn't coming out. George R. R. Martin is too busy eating nachos and not writing to do that.
He has no reason to finish
He has no reason to finish it, and I don't think he cares about the story anymore. And frankly, I don't blame him, because it's like half his life now.
He doesn't give a shit.
Move on. Like, it's not even the same author anymore. Why would you want a conclusion at this point?
And also, who cares? Who cares?
It's kind of garbage.
It's not good. It's not great.
It's not as bad. It's high art compared to the ending that the TV series got.
I'm not going to disagree with that, but again,
good.
It was the first season of Game of Thrones was excellent, flatly, but it was then on.
I'm honestly, it was fine.
No, it was excellent because you need to do. No, it's the rating of how you keep people for a first episode. It's how you do that and how you set things up. And it's the death of someone no one expects. That's how you keep people in a show. The Shield did it really first. There's a fantastic write-up on this. Did you ever watch The Shield? It's like the best cop drama ever made. It's like that and The Wire, depending on kind of the edges of things, or you'll find people. I think The Shield is up there, personally. A lot of people disagree and they think The Wire is...
Did they kill off Vic Mackey in season 1? Is that what you're saying?
No. Episode 1, the first episode.
Yeah.
Where everything shifts and everything changes. They have, it's a thing that, it's a moment no one expects, and I don't want to ruin it for people. But when you do that, when you tell the audience that they don't know what they can expect from the show immediately, when you cut the head off of, ostensibly, in retrospect, we should have expected his death, but when you cut the head off a main character and major actor, it makes everyone go, wait, what? And it makes people go, oh, okay, this is a thing. And it gets people really interested. And they ran with that. And they kept that up, I think, really nicely in Game of Thrones. They did it in The Shield, too. The Shield, phenomenal show. And it's, when you do that right, it keeps them for a long time. After a few seasons, they basically became suffering porn. It's like The Walking Dead. First season of The Walking Dead, really, they did a great job. But then it just became kind of suffering porn. That same kind of thing for actually Invincible, I'd argue. Like, good for a season, and then it became suffering.
I disagree with that. I don't
How?
think Invincible became suffering porn. I think the problem
It's suffering porn. It's literally
I don't think Invincible suffering porn. The thing with Invincible,
I mean, that's all that writer can do. So that's what The Walking Dead is.
No, it wasn't suffering porn. There's more
How
to
not?
it than just suffering porn. What do you mean how not? That's not a serious question.
It is. How is it not?
How is it suffering porn? First
because
of all, then I'll answer that.
Everything that happens in that show is about how sad it is and how awful things are and how awful it is, and
But
the
it's not,
pain.
though.
And yes, it is.
No, it's not.
No, you have to actually give an argument. You can't just say no, it's not.
I really don't, because if you're just saying yeah, it is, apropos of nothing.
No, I'm saying that's all that's in the show.
But
and you have to admit something else
magnanimous
that's in the
person
show.
that I am, I will try to answer.
No, I'm
anyways.
giving you an affirmative argument. That's all that's in the show.
That's not all that's in the show.
Name another thing that's in it.
It is not just about people suffering. It's also about how normal people under conditions of extreme suffering respond to it, and so on and so forth.
So it's about suffering.
It's not just about suffering.
That's what it is.
That's like saying Les Mis is just about suffering.
No, Les Mis is about redemption. There's no redemption in Invincible.
They all die. There's a redemption in Invincible, absolutely. There's multiple cases of redemption. The entire story is about it. Omni-Man? The mass murder guy? His redemption arc is the entire show. Rex, the bully from season 1, his redemption is the conclusion of season 2. There's
how do they? But how do they redeem
all of the
themselves?
Viltrumites get one by one redeemed as characters?
Right,
literally.
But redemption,
yes,
in Les Mis is about living a good life, saving other people's lives. Redemption,
exactly.
Stop. Redemption in Invincible is about you also suffering.
No,
that's all it is.
No,
yes. They redeem themselves by getting the shit kicked out of them and beaten until they're in a pulp.
Redemption in Invincible is confronted with loving acceptance, the tyrannizing drivers behind otherwise brutal people is undermined, and they completely reorient themselves as a result. That's literally season 1. The unconditional love of his son causes him to stop and just leave. And then he makes a family with somebody else. He's completely changed the result.
The unconditional love of his son? No. It's the absolute beating of his son that he puts on his son and the suffering of his son that makes him go, oh, and that he has some feelings for this person. That's it. But it's the beating and suffering and the brutality of that. It's not his son going, please,
Dad, no, because he was fine. He was fine inflicting that. He was absolutely fine inflicting that until his son reminded him that there was more, right?
What more was there?
He's his son. They're a family. They love each other, and so on and so forth. That's what it was.
Okay, so he beat him literally beyond words, like disfiguringly badly,
right?
And then he said something like, "But your daddy." And so the suffering and the exploitation of that emotion.
He's asked all of these people mean nothing. Like, what will you have after 500 years? All of you. And it's not just but your daddy. The point is, like, there is more than just the material good and longevity of the people around you. The relationship and the depth of connection that you have matters, and that's it. It's like Jean Valjean was stealing from the guy who gave him the candlesticks. It's the act of giving the candlesticks that changes him. It's not the fact that he acquired the candlesticks. That's the same move. Right? Because that's what changes it. Because he was perfectly happy to kill him beforehand. He's flat out taunting him. He's like, I can just do it again. I'll make another kid. He doesn't care. That's not what moves him. It's the expression of love that changes him, and it's the building then of loving relationships afterwards that changes him further and completes that. That's what causes his redemption, is the overcoming of...
So the suffering wasn't a necessary part of it.
No,
it just wasn't.
No, you could have translated that into multiple different scenarios. I think. I don't think.
But that is what happened, though. That is.
Yeah, because it's a superhero. Because it's a superhero. Because this premise is people have like godlike power and they're invincible.
Right.
Should have had the title go in there. When we do the edit, can you do that? Can you put that?
No.
Okay. It's too bad. But you should actually read the comic book because it's quite good.
I mean,
the movie, the show's better. Show's better. Show's better.
I think I don't like Kirkman at all.
The show's better.
And
the show fleshes things out. Shit. The show is significantly less sexist and reductive on a lot of levels. It's quite good.
I am
showing suffering, even showing gratuitous suffering, does not mean that a show is about suffering.
No. Kirkman's writing is only about suffering. It has other things in it, but suffering is the core of it, and it's gratuitous continuously.
Like Game of Thrones, would you say? I think that's more
they
true
got
of
it.
Game of Thrones than
I mean, that was
Invincible.
literally where I started with this. That it became suffering porn. So sure,
But
of course.
well, you say it became suffering porn. I think season 1 was suffering porn.
Season 1 showed a lot of it.
Because
sure.
here's the difference. In Invincible, there is suffering. In Game of Thrones, the suffering is identifiable with the quote unquote realism of the story.
That's
they
true
put
of
in,
Invincible and Walking Dead completely.
I disagree.
You just said
suffering.
Okay.
No, the suffering in Invincible is just a consequence of the premise. It's not a statement by the authors of what reality is like. This is the fictional universe in which you have people with godlike powers and normal human psyches and frailties that are just doing things at a grander scale. That's not the world. That's imagine a world in which everybody had super guns on their arms. Like, yeah, you could still do stuff with that. Just obviously a factor involved in that scenario is there's going to be a lot more people with their heads blown off.
Okay.
You should read the comic. It's actually quite good. It goes in some interesting places. Yeah. All right.
No, I'm already watching Andor for you.
Okay.
So
okay.
I'll
We'll do
pass
Invincible
on.
next. We'll raise money for Invincible.
No,
next,
let's we're gonna actually try to get someone to like actually donate so we can do something good that's interesting instead of all of this garbage related to comic books and
how
children.
far have you? Hang on. How far have you actually watched Invincible?
I've watched all 3 seasons.
All right.
I've watched so much so that, like, again, Meat Canyon did a fucking video about like the guy beating the shit out of Mark, and then he's like, I'm gonna reveal to you, I've never taken a woman. I've been lonely. I'm so sad all the time. That's like that's all it is, over and over, is how awful all these people's lives are.
That only happens there though.
That is but it's one more example of the whole thing. Why, as a thing, ready? Just as
even
a note,
even that character has a kind of redemption. By the way, you have to actually watch it. You have to actually read it and go through. Because it's the tragic situation of this person who is isolated from any sort of kinship by the very fact of being the thing that his culture idolizes, right?
Sure.
Yeah. All right.
How about the part where he's stalked by the dude who's like, can charge electricity by being punched or whatever the fuck?
That was overdone a little bit.
But was it? Because the lesson of that was that it's fine that Invincible's murdering millions of people.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
He's the bad guy because his rage caused his own family to be killed, which he blamed on Mark, right?
Yeah.
So it's on him, right? Not Mark. Mark is again, millions of people die all the time in that show, yet somehow Mark cares about like 2 or 3, or we learn about 1 or 2, just so we can learn about their eternal suffering that's ultimately their own fault.
No, there's filler because it has the form of a comic book serial, so it has like recurring villains, and I found season 2 and 3 had too much of that. It was like there was a bit of bloat, but the actual core arcs are actually very not just misery porn.
Okay, we have very different reads of them then, because I find almost nothing redeeming in any of those but their misery. That's the only thing that they use as a crutch over and over.
Well, you're talking about redemption. You're talking about someone finds a way to transform all of those elements of themselves that resulted in misery into something that's not miserable. I think that happens a lot.
But misery is not the cause of it, usually.
No, misery is not the cause of it in any case, in any of these stories.
Really?
Yeah.
Walking Dead, I got to tell you, kind of filled with, I've had so much pain that I'm going to do the right thing kind of bullshit. That's literally Kirkman's style.
even Negan's character is largely changed through interpersonal connections and building loving relationships that opens him up to the possibility of other ways of doing things besides brutality. That's his whole character arc. Is he even manages to see eye to eye ultimately with Rick, not just through like his appreciation of his attitude in the face of extreme pressure and terror, but also through the common care for his son. Like that's a.
And then he goes to the future where, what the fuck is his name? The Immortal Apparently,
I thought you were talking about Walking Dead still for a second. It's like we watched.
No.
Show.
Invincible goes to the future where the Immortal is still alive and is so angry that he's brutalizing people, and he needs Mark to kill him to do the right thing by killing him and doing it brutally, and everyone's just suffering. It's just continuous. So the point of Invincible may not be directly suffering, but the story is that it's suffering porn for everyone. That's what it does. That's its point. That's what it provides.
I strongly disagree.
Name one thing. Otherwise, you still haven't. Everything you've talked about is related to and using the suffering.
Nothing I've talked about has to do with suffering.
You just said redemption through suffering. You just
I never said redemption through suffering. I said redemption through expressions of love in every single case. Whether or not suffering was present is neither here nor there. Obviously, there's suffering present because there wasn't a solution yet. Suffering is present when the solution to the agitation of the story has not yet been met. Synecdoche, New York, filled with suffering. Till the end.
See, and I don't see that for Synecdoche.
It's full of suffering. What are you talking about? Filled with, saturated in it. Saturated in suffering. No. The main character is in a state of perpetual misery.
Really?
Everyone abandons him. He's constantly dying. He's constantly terrified of dying. He's lonely. He's weeping. He's suffering endlessly.
He has many joyous moments.
Nah, I don't think he has any joyous moments in that
Vodka
movie.
Super chatted $5. Have you guys played Pathologic? I feel like you two would enjoy trying to cure a miserable plague-ridden town in the steppes.
I'm ready for Pathologic 3, personally.
I've played hours of Pathologic 2. I have to actually go. I tried Pathologic 1. I just couldn't. Even as a Deus Ex 1 player, I couldn't do it. Maybe someday again. I need to get through Pathologic 2 all the way. I played it a long time. Wasn't in the right headspace. I need to actually start again and just do the thing.
Well, I have to mention, since we're just since you're diving over to the Deus Ex likes, Quadrilateral Cowboy came out a few years ago and it's probably one of my favorite sandboxy things. You don't look it up. You won't like it. Don't.
Hang on, I'm looking up his hentai. One sec. Quadrilateral Cowboy
was phenomenal. It's one of the best. It's one of the best games of that style. That really plays into the idea of I don't know, all of that shit. But Blindo, who've made just an extraordinary number of games I've enjoyed, they just hit with Skin Deep. And Skin Deep is comedic junior short form Deus Ex. And it's really super fun. It's meant to be more fun than serious. Quadrilateral Cowboy, fun, very, very complicated game. To say the least.
Oh, I was looking at Skin Deep actually. That's that one that just came out.
Skin Deep's pretty.
That's the one on the ship.
Yes, Quadrilateral Cowboy is absolutely one of the more complicated games that's ever.
It
been
looks
released.
it looks like a single player. What's that one we were playing a little while ago? That survival one. Fuck, my brain's not working. The one that looks like Abiotic Factor.
No,
it has similar look as Abiotic Factor.
It's much more immersive sim mentality.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, Abiotic Factor is kind of an immersive sim. It's immersive.
No, it's entirely scripted. This is systematic immersive in the sense of all windows can be broken, all things do the same stuff. There's no locking behind gates or scripting of elements.
Yeah.
It's really, really great.
No, I get what you're saying.
There's this great thing because you can, when you kill a guard, and it's its own process. I don't want to spoil, but you can take their walkie-talkies or whatever. But every X number of minutes, depending on where you're at in the ship or what you're doing, the guard gets asked, report in. And if you aren't near a place to communicate, you get fucked up. But you also can't use the same walkie-talkie for all of them because the battery dies. So it yields some really comedic moments of running around the ship and trying to find communication panels and doing all that. I've enjoyed it. It's really. Are
you gonna play Clair Obscur at all?
No.
No. Okay.
No, I'm good. JRPG has to be exceptional or deeply.
It's quite good. It's quite good so far.
It's fine, I'm sure. I've been watching it on various streams, and it's great. I don't care about art styles, so it kind of puts it down a few points for me. The battle system is fine. I don't.
If I've got one complaint about it so far, it's that they've got a grapple system in it that doesn't serve any purpose because there's nothing locked behind. You don't need to activate the grapple points. You have it from go, and it's just to progress past this point, you need to press X, and it does a grapple animation. It's why?
I don't know.
But the rest of the game so far has been quite good. So,
If anyone's looking for something skin deep, Quadrilateral Cowboy, and then Flotilla is like a really great RTS. Just Blindo in general. They've just been nailing shit, and they're fantastic. I have to just give love to them generally. Skin Deep is really fun. You should play Skin Deep on stream. I mean, you rescue cats. The fuck else? It's perfect for a stream.
yeah, I've already got Talos Principle for that.
No, you literally rescue smart cats who like actually are the ship captains. They're the captains. You're just an engineer running around.
Okay. You're selling me on this a little bit.
It's
10% off right now.
Deeply enjoyable game.
If somebody in chat buys me Skin Deep, I'll play it on stream. But I've got.
It'd be up there. It'd be up there for me to recommend. I tried Psycho Patrol R again. Gotta tell you.
No.
We can sit on stream sometime, and you can make it all the fun you want of me. I can't get in the fucking... I keep taking the guns off the goddamn fucking mech and not getting in the thing.
Really?
I take the guns off.
Yeah, because you can take the guns off.
But it's the same button as getting in.
You're supposed to get into the cockpit, not through the guns.
Yeah, climb up and go around, and there's nothing. It doesn't work.
It's where the cockpit is. The cockpit's not behind it. The cockpit's in front of it.
I know.
Nobody else is having this problem, Brooks. This seems like a you thing.
It is. It is actually not just me. The Discord has other people having the issue because it's a buggy fucking game. Has to do with a lot of things, like how you have mice hooked up, or how the joystick is working, or how you have it. It's a silly, weird little thing. But hey, kind of breaks the entire thing if you can't get into the goddamn mech. So we'll sit on stream sometime, and you can just yell at me and make fun of me all you want, which will be great. It's fine, and it's not grabbing me, as you can tell.
Okay.
More fun I've been having Xenopurge. I got into playtest of. Xenopurge is a weird concept of a game. You kind of give orders to... You're like on a ship giving orders to the crew in Alien. You're like still on the...
Oh, that's just a naked rip-off of Alien Isolation Blackout.
I don't know what that is.
Alien Isolation Blackout is the mobile version of Alien Isolation, which you, as Amanda Ripley, are in a vent giving orders to the crew of the ship to avoid the alien. It's
Well, yeah, but that's that like concept, sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it's great.
No, that concept has been done like a million times. I don't think the interface of Blackout was the same thing, but that's
it's pretty close. It's actually, I think the interface might have been a little bit more detailed. I'm looking at it right now. Alien Isolation Blackout.
Yeah,
because you actually can see shit in Alien Isolation.
Yeah, it's there were other games on the PS. It's like it had camera angles like Resident Evil that you could watch things go around and give orders.
I was waiting for you to say Five Nights at Freddy's, and I was going to get really mad.
I don't never play that game, sadly. Xenopurge is not that. Xenopurge is there's a really complex AI in each of the characters, more along the lines of like a Dwarf Fortress-like complexity for every single one of them. And so you have like very few things happening, but you're giving them orders and kind of telling them what to do things, and they react to the world. I'm enjoying it quite a bit.
Okay. And that's not available yet. You just haven't early access.
Yeah, if you go right now, you can actually request to be part of a playtest, and they accept everyone like every few days, I think.
Interesting.
So that's been more or less. Those have been my main addictions.
There we go. I will request access. There we go.
Easy enough. Other than that, it's been Dota 2 and Nubby's Number Factory as my Balatro replacement because I got kind of tired of Balatro.
Oh, you're playing Nubby's?
Nubby's is pretty great.
I thought you didn't like that whole Cruelty Squad thing. That's exactly what that is. It's 100% that kind of sewer punk.
It's not,
aesthetic.
But I
It
don't
totally
understand.
is.
And the sewer punk aesthetic's not what I don't like. Did you think I don't like... Do you think my dislike of that game is because of its visuals?
I think the first thing you complained about was its visuals, actually.
No, the first thing I complained about was the absolute silliness that it kind of overdoes in very particular ways.
I remember very particularly the first complaint you had was the graphics.
Yeah,
I remember
the graphics
this was a couple years ago.
The UI is done intentionally to make things complicated. That's not sewer punk.
It doesn't make it complicated. It's not complicated at all. It's very simple. It's just unintuitive, which is different.
All right, so if you say simple and unintuitive in the same sentence, I'm going to have trouble with that. It's actually very simple. It's just unintuitive.
Simple means few moving parts. Unintuitive means it's not the parts you would expect.
It has... Okay. Sure.
Like reloading, super easy. Unintuitive if you've played any shooters in the last ever. Because you
How is it unintuitive?
That's how you say reload. It's unintuitive. Takes a lot of practice to get right.
It's literally how every light gun in every arcade always worked too.
It is not. You had a thing for it.
You have to aim down and shoot. That's you go aim down
and aim down and shoot, but you didn't do it with a mouse.
That's what it is. You aim down and you shoot. That's what it's the. What do you do with a mouse? There's no difference.
Yeah, but okay, but you had a limit of your controls at a light gun console that you don't with a keyboard and mouse. So
it's aiming down. You drag the cursor down.
Because you don't have buttons on the thing. You just have the trigger and maybe a scope thing on top. And
do you know what a trigger is? It's a button.
I don't think a trigger is a trigger technically a button?
On an arcade stick it is, and on an arcade thing it is. And in software it is. A button's a binary switch. That's what it is. You hit a switch because that's all a button is. A button's not like a button. It's a switch.
Button doesn't have to be a binary switch. There are buttons that have that register at different degrees of pressure.
What?
There are buttons that register different degrees of pressure on them.
Yeah, analog buttons. But those are not switches. Again.
Yeah, but they're still buttons though.
But they're not switches.
I didn't say they were switches.
Mouses are buttons. Triggers buttons. They're switches. They're switches. They don't have analog. I'm just saying.
Are we doing Andor?
Does your mouse have analog? Does your mouse do that? Is it magic?
Yes.
Because I have Hall effect switches on my keyboard, so I actually can adjust all the keys. Still called switches, by the way.
But we were talking about buttons.
Yeah, because that's what they are in software. Mechanically, they're switches.
Are we covering it? Are we watching Andor?
Yeah, we're going to watch Andor tonight.
I'll tell you what, we'll do one, okay?
I do want to take a moment because we did get asked about it, and I do think it's worthwhile taking a second and talking about one last political thing, the pharmacy deserts. If that's okay with you.
It's not, but I don't see how I have a choice in the matter.
I did kind of bully you into it, didn't I?
What are we looking at?
It's going to be, I'll share the article right here. And then, boom, 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 boom.
That's
boom,
weird.
boom.
I pulled up the exact same one.
Consumer, it's because it's one of the better ones recently. It's only a couple days old. Good piece, because this is something that is happening. And I related it to USAID, and I will continue, I think, to do that when we have this conversation, because it's important when we talk about, hey, I thought you leftists wanted to change stuff. It's like, yeah, we do. But we also don't want people to die. Which I know sounds difficult for people to understand. But pharmacy deserts, which we're against companies, right, Sunday? Like, generally? Are we?
I love companies.
We love companies. We love corporations. 90% of U.S. prescriptions are filled by local pharmacies, which serve as a vital public health provider. You people in other countries don't know this. How do you get your pharmacy shit, your medicine filled? How does that actually work? You're at the doctor and they say, hey, I'm going to prescribe you Thorazine, clearly. What do you get for that?
How does that work? Paper. I get a piece of paper. The piece of paper lets me go to a pharmacy counter at a store.
You actually get a piece of paper?
Yeah. You do not get a piece of paper?
It's been years since I got a piece of paper.
Oh. I get it written down.
I wonder if people still do that here. They didn't do it in California, anywhere I lived for a long time. It's been since like I was younger. Doctor goes, "Hey Brooks, I'm on Nuvigil." And the doctor asks, "Where do you want to pick it up?" And you go, it's going to be, for me, the answer, by the way, is Walgreens or Walmart. Those are the pharmacies near me. It can also be Safeway, which is my grocery store. But that's it. We don't really have pharmacies standalone often as a thing. So it's one of these chain stores. We then, at some point, they text you and they say, or you call or whatever, they say they've got it, and you go over and you say, "Hey, I'm Brooks here to pick up a prescription." They look in their computer. You have to give them your insurance card, which the doctor will have said what insurance you're on, and then they fill up your prescription and give it to you. But it's always at the grocery store or something like that. And local pharmacies in the U.S. are basically, this is the way they work.
We answered the question, by the way, about how he's watching all these movies and reading all these books and playing all these video games.
I have
pseudoamphetamines all night.
They're not pseudoamphetamines or amphetamines. That's not what Nuvigil is. It's a cute wording for it. I have central sleep apnea, which is a pretty serious fucking disorder I got diagnosed with a few years ago. And it's a whole thing. And so this tends to be one of the medications they put you on for it, so that way, I can actually sleep, which is nice. I just don't sleep a ton.
It also makes you awake afterwards. It's supposed to be nice.
It makes you feel, when you wake up, you get to wake up. That's the nice part. Central sleep apnea is a nightmare, just to mention. And it's something that turns out to be genetic. My dad was diagnosed with it. He called me and said, "You need to go do sleep studies." And I did. And holy shit. And it was basically your brain stops a couple times a night, every night. And they don't know why. It's a kind of a narcolepsy of sorts.
Is it just does it always come with the breathing stopping, or is it just the...
It comes with all of it. You just stop. You just die in the middle of the night randomly. For a moment, yeah. A couple times. And it means that you also never really achieve REM sleep, which is a reason that you end up being tired and also fucked up in a lot of really weird ways. And did 2 sleep studies, and no REMs. It was not cool. So I'm on that. This is the process. But because it's in those stores, I'm in an area where we got a bunch of those. There is a reality that a lot of those stores have been packing and moving. So the stats here, 18% of Americans live in pharmacy deserts, where entire communities depend on a single keystone pharmacy. This would be if I was further out. I'm at the edges of what you might even call suburban Portland. I'm like an hour outside, but I'm at the edges. You go a little further, and people are an hour away from the nearest Safeway or grocery store, and that's the only place they've got. And they're dependent on that place staying open, because if that's not there, they can't pick up anything. You can't pick up anything anywhere. You
got to burn. You can't get stuff for your burn.
Can't get stuff for anything. It comes to mind. I broke 2 ribs a few years ago. It was some of the worst pain I've ever been in. And the doctor actually prescribed me a really harsh opioid, because I'm 250 pounds. He's like, "You're not gonna be able to walk." I couldn't even walk. I had like a cane, and they had to wheel me out. It was awful. And
you should see the other guy. Sorry, go on.
The other guy was a set of stairs. The other guy was a set of stairs that I didn't see correctly, and I fell backwards into.
Ooh! Oh God! Oh.
Yeah, the other guy was that, and again.
Oh, those are back ribs.
Nope, front ribs. I fell forward, and my body bent because it was at a sports thing. I was in the booth with
cement stairs.
I was at the International with the Navi. This was like 6-7 years ago.
They're giant stairs for blue people.
No, they're the stairs. I was in the player booth with the Navi, and I turned, and it was so dark I didn't see the first step, but I thought I was stepping up. I missed it, and then went forward, and 2 of my ribs landed exactly on one of the edges of the cement stairs. So they cracked. I couldn't even stand. They had to wheel me out. It was awful. So I get prescribed a really harsh opioid. No one in Seattle, because that's where this happened, no one in Seattle would give it to me. You can't call ahead for opioids because they won't tell you because they get robbed for opioids. And then when you go in, they're just like, sorry, we don't have them. They won't prescribe them. I had to go for like a day and a half without them. It was awful. I had to take a flight home, which is, don't do that, by the way, as a thing. And then I finally get them at Costco because we had a membership. It's the only place. Like, prescriptions are a nightmare here. But I can just imagine people in true pain, and that's what that was. It's one of the worst things. And they just don't even have to serve you because they're private. They're not even government. They're not related. They don't give a fuck. They don't have to have medication if they don't want to, and they don't have to give it to you, which is a nightmare. Drawing a parallel to food deserts where communities face limited access to nutritious groceries, pharmacy deserts are regions with too few pharmacies to meet local needs. And for a significant slice of the U.S. population, this desert is a harsh reality. In a study published in JAMA Network Open, Yale researchers introduced a new approach to identifying pharmacy deserts, not by distance, but by travel time. Because, yes, we do not live in a world where people have equal travel ability. Fuck.
But they fly.
We don't even have buses.
My place of residence is a great example of this because distance, very short between everything. Travel time, because you have highly congested highways and a very overly populated island, it can take upwards of an hour to get somewhere. It would take you probably 15 minutes to get to, if not less, at 6 a.m. in the morning.
Yep.
So, like, are you gonna make that trip if you have work, if you have like kids to pick up or to feed or whatever? No.
What if you don't have a car and you're rural, which is the methodology accounts for regional differences, recognizing rural residents tolerate longer drives than urban counterparts. By mapping out every pharmacy across the country, calculating how long it would take 80% of people in each census tract to reach a supermarket, which is a common reference point, the researchers set a new standard. If no pharmacy exists within that threshold, the area qualifies as a pharmacy desert. Pharmacies are frontline community health resources. So we wanted to develop a robust definition. The findings are sobering. Of the 323.5 million people living in the United States at the time of the study, 17.7, roughly 57 million people live in a pharmacy desert. An additional 9% lived in areas served by just a single pharmacy, a keystone pharmacy. In 18 states, more than 1 in 5 residents live in pharmacy deserts. States like New Hampshire, South Dakota, West Virginia, Maine, and Vermont have higher rates, over 25%. Fuck. The burden is especially heavy in rural communities, which often rely on independently owned pharmacy rather than national chains. Fuck me, dude. That's actually worse than I thought it was. Fuck. Yep. Pharmacy in Oxnard, California, which serves 7 census tracts and potentially more than 34,000 residents. If that were to close, all the neighborhoods would fall into pharmacy desert overnight. Yep. And the reason that we're being asked is because, Jesus Christ. As of today, Rite Aid, which is one of those chains that they mentioned, the Keystones, Rite Aid is closing a ton of stores. They filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
Yep. This is like, imagine, hypothetically, most of you are in probably fairly diversified areas overall. The dollar store closes. Not that big a deal. It's like, oh, maybe you bought like some cheap soap or something there occasionally as a habit, whatever. You'll pay a few extra dollars. What if, though, that was your grocery store and that was the only thing that was there? And it's packed up and left. Oh, that's how you get ghost towns, by the way. You have essential services just pull out, and there's nothing keeping people there because it's not a viable place to live anymore.
Yeah. It's we're fucked, man. It's all fucked up. I don't even like when we start talking about this. Here, I'll show the video. We won't watch it necessarily unless you want to, but it's the one of the better channels. 1 second. It's one sec. It's one of the better channels I watch, and I just can't ever find anything. YouTube search is so fucking broken these days, dude.
I've been reading some interesting theories about that. They've been plugging smaller channels, and the reason why is not to diversify the content or to get people better access to the content they want. YouTube, I think, is trying to spread its ads out amongst channels that they do not pay out anything to, under 1,000 sub-channels that aren't partners, to save a whole ton of money. You don't buy that?
It saves them a bunch of cash.
Oh, you do buy it? Okay. Yeah.
I know. That makes extreme sense to me.
Yeah, it's weird because it never even occurred to me. It's so obvious.
Dan,
to win more business. Plus,
if you don't know this dude, you should. This is good work. They're a fairly large channel, to say the least. And he's funny as shit. His channel's informative and smart and clever. And he went over this time around, specifically private credit. It's a new video that released today. And private credit is actually like, it's a thing people haven't talked about a lot, but it is sort of the evolution of what we would have called hedge funds or predatory funds as they existed. It's the idea that banks used to be the center of loans and loan business. But banks, because of various legislation sort of rules, we don't allow them to sort of loan at very risky levels or with, ridiculous levels of interest or whatever it is. Hedge funds exist as kind of this really weird in-between that we allowed, where people would come in and they'd go, hey, we'll loan your business a bunch of money, but in exchange, if you fuck up, we own everything you've ever done and we're going to liquidate it all and ruin you. And lo and behold, that's what they do. And private credit sort of was born of this. In private credit, we'll watch just the beginning so you can kind of get the gist, and then we'll move on. Again, it's worth watching, and I'll post the link so everyone can watch. But every one of his videos is great. And from the channel in general, they're fantastic.
Is created.
All right, you're able to see it, right, Sunday?
Mm-hmm. I get a tattoo of their face on my chest. So when I had to get inked up 18 times over the last decade to celebrate a bunch of guys who became billionaires off of a mysterious new darling of finance called private credit, I just knew something was afoot. So afoot that it's got the rest of Wall Street fighting for a turn at the money hose. And of course, a coveted spot next to my right nipple. So what's this thing that's getting everyone rich now? Huh? I started my investigation by watching what's well known to be the horniest media outlet we got spinning today. Bloomberg.
Private credit remains the hottest market.
Private credit is kind of the sexiest story on the street. It's very sexy.
Private credit. It's like the hottest thing on the street.
Private credit is so hot.
Private credit is looking more attractive.
Private credit is getting so hot.
Private credit is really attractive. Private credit as an industry really has come of age.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who finds this arousing. See?
They're great. They're fantastic at what they do.
Words like explosive growth, mega deals, shadow banking, and not a bubble just give me a tingle in my journalists. But like most times I'm aroused, I'm also deeply confused.
It's really simple. Even credit, for a lot of viewers, that sounds kind of weird and, finance speak. It's just funds making loans to businesses. And that's all it is. And there's nothing really that sexy about it.
Speak for yourself, Robert Smith, corporate finance editor at the Financial Times. Some of us are attracted to highly profitable businesses and would love to get to know them better.
Essentially, private credit is just a loan being made usually to a pretty risky company, a highly indebted one, from a non-bank. So sometimes they call it non-bank lending, and it's an almost $2 trillion market. And it's up almost 10 times what it was right before the financial crisis.
Maureen.
So, basically it's, hey, yeah, we'll loan you that money, and then we'll take control of your company when it fails.
Yeah.
And it's now worth $2 trillion. Not because of people paying back their loans. Just saying... If people paid back their loans on time without issue, They wouldn't be worth 10 times what they were a decade ago.
Yeah.
How is this sustainable? It's not. That's the thing. That's the thing. It's not.
It's like an MLM. You burn people out for the first couple of layers and then you run.
I posted a link for those who want to watch the rest. I'd be up for watching a little bit more if Sunday can stomach it.
But I really want to watch Andor.
Oh, we're not watching Andor immediately. That's a little bit later tonight because I can't mentally handle it. But that's okay. I'm kind of with you on that. You want to hold off, and you want to? We can send everyone because here's the thing. This is, if you didn't see the part of the headline, and it's an important step in that headline I had about our friends at Rite Aid. It said, files Chapter 11 bankruptcy. There's a word after that. Did you see it Sunday? It's a 5-letter word. Again. This is the second time Rite Aid has done this because they were saved by private lending.
Huh.
So, because it's again, if it's a fun story in the sense of like the horrors of life. It's a just go back in time. Let's do it. It's like it's the way that they do these fucking articles. I fucking love news media. They're so broken. Here, how about this one? Rite Aid refiles for bankruptcy. I think the refiling is kind of a big deal, don't you? Like, hey, wait, what? They're doing it again. It's secured $1.94 billion in new financing from lenders to stay operational during these proceedings. Those aren't banks. Like, this is where we're at. In March, Walgreens announced it's planning to be acquired by an entity of Sycamore Partners, a private equity firm, a private lending firm.
For like $10 billion?
That's a great question.
It's like I'm reading right here. It's like a tenth of its cost 10 years ago. Tenth of its value 10 years ago.
Gangaro's tipped $3.33. Google Jeffree Stein 20 million Rite Aid.
That sounds too erotic for me. So I'm going to do it off screen. That is some really weird. Oh wait, that's not pornography. That's Business Wire. Oh god. This is 2023. Rite Aid today announced its board of directors appointed Jeffree S. Stein as Chief Executive Officer, Chief Restructuring Officer. Well, that's kind of a lot of things, and Chief Member of the Board effective immediately. He succeeds this other person. Blah 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 blah.
Money.
Joey's easy tipped $1. Is good or evil real? If not, how can you critique anything?
Because good and evil isn't real, but good and bad is.
Because we're Ubermensch. That's why.
Good and bad is. Good and evil isn't. We've moved beyond good and evil. I don't know. How do people not know what the book title is?
Because they can't read German, Brooks.
Yeah, that's probably fair. That's probably fair.
Even though there have been multiple AAA video games with that title.
Because they appointed that guy, and then they filed for that first bankruptcy, and that's what that guy did. And he's with private financing, and then Matt Schroeder has taken over from Jeffree Stein because they exited bankruptcy by shedding $2 billion in debt. But they added $2.5 billion in exit
Jeffree
financing.
Stein ran off with $20 million while Rite Aid sinks again. That's interesting.
Rite Aid, just the sentence is like, this is good business. The company added the Rite Aid emerged into bankruptcy, having axed about $2 billion from its debt. The company also added $2.5 billion in exit financing. Like, I don't.
Money. Joey's easy tipped $1. How can anything be objectively good or bad? Or is it just your own individual preferences?
That $1 that you're asking that big a question with is objectively bad.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to pay you less than you can use to buy a soda, but I'm going to ask the existential questions of life. That, my friends, is capitalism. That's good. That's good capitalism.
You don't have objective good or bad. Good or bad for what? Boom. It's not objective anymore. Now it's depending on a particular perspective in the world. There you go.
It's compossible and incompossible.
There's no objective notion of good or bad in the frickin' Bible. It's an artifact of weird in Middle European philosophy stuff.
Right? It said on Tuesday. Wait, what date is this? This was September. This was less than a year ago. Less than a year ago, they get $2.5 billion. And then they're like, we're a stronger company with a right-sized store footprint, more efficient operating model, significantly less debt, and additional financial resources for 9 months. And then we're bankruptcy.
Apparently he was pulling like $20 million a month or something while this was all going down. Can you buy a pack of gums now with $2 Canadian? You can always buy a pack of gums for $2 Canadian. Why are you calling it gums? Like it's gum. It's gum. The plural of gum is gum.
You have gums in your mouth, but gum is gum. I actually don't know. What's the shittiest gum?
Don't say juicy fruit.
No.
What are those? You know those like ones with the little baseball comics on them that you get in like the 90s?
Bazooka Joe?
No, Bazooka Joe's not the worst.
Comics.
Oh, maybe actually. Yeah, they have that weird like little ridge in the middle.
I'm trying to see what we can buy for $1.44 American.
But those little Bazooka Joe like square ones.
Let's go see at Rite Aid.
When those are dry, they're terrible. Sorry, go on.
We're going to go to Rite Aid, and we're going to go shopping. And then we're going to be done for the day. We're going to see...
Oh, thank God. Okay. I was ready to go watch Andor. Apparently, Brooks needs a little nap.
Oh, you can't search... They have no more online shopping on RiteAid.com.
Double Bubble, that's it.
Double Bubble?
Double Bubble.
All right, let's try Walgreens then.
Double Bubble. I have a nostalgic attachment.
All right, here we go.
Ugh.
Walgreens, we're going to look for gum. And we're going to... Here's extra. $1.44 Canadian. No. One for $1.99. $1.99. No. Gum. I just want any gum. And we're going to go buy...
Bubblicious. Bubblicious.
Pick up. That's fine. That's not even close to where I live. I don't care if you guys see it. Sort by price, low to high. Hubba Bubba is $1.49.
Tipped $1. P1. Naturalism, your philosophy. Reality is solely material / objective. Good and bad are non-material value. Ergo, in such a reality, good / bad cannot objectively exist.
That is 3 sticks of gum, to be fair.
No. We're only going to debate. Can you buy a pack of gums now with $2 Canadian? And the answer is no. The cheapest gum I can buy is Hubba Bubba Max for $1.49, and it's awful.
Where are you buying that, though?
Walgreens.
I don't even have a Walgreens here. If I go to Walmart here, I can buy a thing of gum for under $2.
There. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon Pierre Dubé.
Thank you. That'll be nice.
I'm not buying gum, but thank you.
Yeah, so that's $2 Canadian is $1.44 American.
That's that bad, huh? Shit.
It is apparently that bad. That's what it just told me. I
do love getting my checks in American though. I love getting only 500. 1,000 you mean? Okay.
It's two for $2, but you have to buy 2 of them to get that price. One of them alone is $1.49 under $2.
Stein got 20 million bonus for getting out of bankruptcy and fled, and we never saw any of that 2.5 billion. They kept us alive as a skeleton store.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they do. That's what all of these
guys
guys
have
do.
skeleton stores? Sounds spooky.
Oh no, that's a thing. That's a real thing. You can actually tell when you go into different Rite Aids.
Yeah.
Like this is.
Are they just like empty and minimally staffed?
Sort of.
Yeah.
So there's two. So like this happened with Osco Drug when I was young, before it got bought by Jewel and Jewel Osco became a thing. But this happens regularly with like these chains. CVS before they bought up a bunch and then switched it, and they kind of turn them into what you could say is like bare minimum store with a pharmacy. So the pharmacy and the photo department are there, and it's got all the stuff. But in the store, you can tell that it doesn't have all the stuff people generally go in for, or the randomness. Like CVS Rite Aid, like they have like chips and candy and soup and toys and weird stuff.
Yeah.
But they just will flatten it, and it'll have a lot more groupings of the same item.
Pan tipped $1.01. Hassan fans are now harassing Ethan, and they sent him skeletons in the mail, including heads.
Credit where it's due. Anyways.
What?
He's talking about the human skull thing. Ethan Klein was trying to pass off. They sent me human skulls. Like that's a.
And again, I'm sure there's no one else in the world besides Hassan fans who are upset with Ethan.
No. I think I thought it. I could be misremembering, but I thought.
Insomnian Noir tipped $3.33. A sparkle of good news. Marjorie Taylor Greene will not be running for U.S. Senate.
No, I was hoping you were going to say she died. Yeah.
She fell. They were doing CrossFit, and she picked up too big of a giant medicine ball, and it crushed her. And that would be a really funny thing.
No, it wouldn't. That would be terrible, Brooks. TOS. Jesus Christ.
It would be hilarious if it happened if a TV show that was satirizing it.
Imagine if she had a family, how they would feel. Okay. Imagine if people loved her, how they would feel.
Fair enough. You're right. It's a fair point. They usually have a mixture of things on the shelves. Like you go down a shelf and they'll have like a bunch of instead of having like one type of Lay's bags, they'll have a bunch. That's a normal store. When they go to this mode, they actually just fill it with like the baseline of every single thing. So they'll have like whatever the shit cheap version is of potato chips, but it'll only have one kind or two kinds from that one brand. These stores thrive like dollar stores on not trying to outcompete in terms of variety of selection, but they have particular things. When they go to skeleton mode, they have only the shittiest version. It's like they can't find the difference.
I'm very spoiled, so a lot of this is like very alien to me. I will see things that sort of resemble this a little bit, but they don't have that same social relevance. Like we'll have dollar stores that are sort of like that sometimes, but they'll have like actually a great diversity of things. Just sometimes they'll have like repeat shelves and things like that. But we don't have food deserts. Aren't really a thing here in this part of Canada where nobody votes.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's just not a thing. Like it's an alien concept to me. Like it was a weird thing.
I have friends from anywhere visit, and it's like when I was in LA. My buddy Mo, he was in for Egypt. He stayed with us for Christmas because I thought it'd be funny to have one of my closest friends is this Muslim guy from Egypt. So we had him in for Christmas because I thought it was great. And the first place we took him was Walmart Supercenter. And it blew his mind.
Temu Rogan tipped $1. We need a retrospective on the George Floyd era. Did it fail or succeed? Was it a real racial reckoning like CNN said it was? Also, Destiny is now defending Ahmaud Arbery murderers.
Wow. That's for you, Booty. That one's for you.
I need to unpack this for a second. Did the George Floyd era succeed? I wasn't aware that there was a competition of eras. Did eras do things? I thought there was I thought there was like a periodization of time. I mean, there were police reforms that happened as a consequence of Black Lives Matter protests. That's a thing. That's a thing.
It brought a lot of more racial conversations to the front, and those conversations literally are one of the reasons that we have a divided country, because as those conversations move forward, the right had to react, and their reaction is by, giving hundreds of thousands of dollars to women who say the N-word now.
I've floated this theory to you in private. I'm going to float it in public. Destiny has been making some weird moves in terms of posting things that are just begging for a response of this sort. Mocking Hassan Piker, for example, which is spurious because he didn't really do this, but claiming Hassan Piker said like, oh, you got raped? Show me the recording. Meanwhile, Destiny's currently right now.
Yeah, he's embroiled in some other things. Well, hey, he produced the recordings, so
this is true. However, he's also mentioned that earlier that if he goes down, he's taken 20 or so other creators with him. So he knows all these other people who have like quiet background sexual abuse scandals, I presume, going on. And I just gotta wonder, does he think he's taunting some people? I'm just wondering, because I've been fascinated by the total unwillingness of large creators who historically have hated Destiny to latch onto
you
any
and me
of this.
both. It's so we see Hassan basically going to war, or his community going to war, or other people in this weird thing with Ethan. But
he'll do it with Destiny too. So this is what's fascinating to me. He'll go after Destiny's a bad father. Destiny's a bad husband. But all
not
of a sudden,
the thing that's literally resulting in lawsuits, or
you have a lawsuit against him for sharing porn against people's consent of people he's worked with, and he's being sued for it, and it's multiple people, and he's quite probably violated federal law by actually recording people without their knowledge, not just their consent, and shared that stuff. Okay, in fact, that is essentially what he's done. It's been basically proved because somebody has actually published bits of it. So nobody is taking an interest in that, and all I'm thinking is, how many of you are sitting there worried that Steven knows something you did, and that he's waiting to bring up? You had a good line. You had a good line. You had a good way of describing it.
Please.
The dark forest. You were using the dark forest.
The dark forest of the internet.
The dark forest of the
online commentary communities or something. Yeah, it's
the dark forest of internet rape. Yeah,
because you don't want to stick your head out just in case, and it's
money. Don't shoot the messenger. Tipped $1. Wasn't Destiny himself a victim since all this was leaked?
Yeah, but who fucking cares? Like that's my answer to that. Sure, technically, yeah. I don't care. It wouldn't have been leaked if he didn't leak it first.
Yeah, once you start sending it to other people without someone else's permission, it's you ever watch the People's Court? I grew up, whenever I was sick, I would always end up getting stuck watching the People's Court because it was on during the day. It was the original Judge Judy, yeah. And they always had this thing that would happen once in a while, and he would have this saying that he'd go, you're asking me to enforce an unenforceable contract. If he sells you cocaine and it's bad cocaine, you can't come to us and say, but that's bad cocaine.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same principle. It's like, once you start doing things that are so deeply themselves illegal and unethical, sure, someone else wronged you, but there's like, you're downwind, you're there and you're involved, and your actions specifically caused these other things to happen. It's a bad actor begetting bad actor thing. It's a very strange, I don't know, man. I just look at, when we have so many people in traditional media who absolutely have utilized sexual abuse or their position to do it, even in minor ways, all the way to really horrific major ways. And that's in traditional media, a space where people work their entire lives that is supposedly selective in some sense. And now we have this broad swath of any fucking person who just happens to be right place, right time, who attracts the right audience. I can't imagine that the numbers are less percentage-wise, right?
Bro tipped $1. Why did Christopher Hitchens claim to be a Trotskyist?
Because he was a Trotskyist.
Yeah, I mean...
We solved the riddle. Okay, there we go. We solved the mystery.
Yeah, it's this odd place that we're in now where anyone who's in this position and anyone who just happens to have a camera can find themselves there. And then also it comes with that same kind of community, parasocial, push sociality that existed prior. Why wouldn't we expect even more abuse? And I can't imagine the percentages are lower than in traditional media. I just can't.
Yep, he was a trot in the 60s.
Yeah.
That was a thing. It's anecdotal, obviously. I mean, sure. If you want to say, look, we've dug and we found that he lied about being in an organization in the 60s. Sure, whatever. Who cares? But that's the reason.
Well, I mean, it's again, names people give themselves at various times is probably the closest they have to it. I've called myself a communist. I have no reason to believe that I am anymore, and I'm not. I never was what we might consider communist, traditionally.
He tipped $1. Trotskyism is when you invade Iraq.
Exactly. Well done. He stopped being a Trotskyist. He wasn't a Trotskyist when he was rah-rahing the invasion of Iraq. He stopped. Peter Hitchens was also a Trotskyist. He is definitely not a Trotskyist currently.
Yeah. I don't know.
Weird how he had the right opinion on that, though. That was odd. Of the two of them. I wouldn't retroactively. I wouldn't have called that if you put those two together. Which one's going to support? If you were to just put like their profiles side by side, Peter and Christopher Hitchens, which one's going to support the imperialistic war invasion of Iraq? I'd probably say Peter Hitchens, but nope.
Hitchens had a reactionary bent prior to that was very much in that sort of odd
I like how you're saying Hitchens had a reactionary bent prior to that. When I'm talking about two brothers with the same last name. I like that specified.
You know the only one I care about. I'm not. I don't. I think Christopher had some phenomenal writings even post turn. Even if he had a shit turn, I still think he did a lot of good work.
You don't think psychedelic drugs are important, Brooks?
I do think psychedelic drugs are important.
Oh, there you go. Care about Peter Hitchens then.
But again, Chris had a push prior to that was a little bit on the. He was a Reddit atheist before there was one. So yeah, when we're going after jihadis or whatever, I wasn't surprised at all that he took the turn of like, oh yeah, well, I'm going to support taking this on because, we aren't in the West the same barbarians who are hyper religious, despite, George Bush saying it was literally a crusade and all this. He didn't care about any of that. Like
it's just weird. It's just weird given his like polemics on Kissinger and so on and so forth. It's like you think he'd exercise a little bit more.
See,
I don't know.
And now we're coming back around to Kitchens and Kissinger, and what he wrote is the same thing as Trump or my dad liking Les Mis. Investments are where they are, and it's not deep. And that's a shame.
Yeah, okay. I got nothing.
All right. So
shall we wrap it up and then
Yep.
what are we doing? Are we just coming back live again later, or what are we doing? Do you want to do it tomorrow? We can do like 3 episodes. Get a nice big chunk.
We're never doing 3 episodes.
3 episodes is only an hour and a half. It's like a short movie.
They're only half-hour episodes?
They're like 45 minutes to 50 minutes. So 3 of them's going to be like...
You motherfucker. It's only 3 of them. It's like a short movie. Oh,
it's like 150 minutes.
If they're 50 minutes long and there's 3 of them.
Kissinger simp tipped $1. Kissinger actually had a very good magnum opus on China that he wrote. I wouldn't discount the man.
I mean, I discount the man.
I discount the man.
His book on China is actually not fantastic. I wouldn't call it his magnum opus either.
No, and even he refuted a lot of the things he wrote in it. And like again, the best thing about him in general, and I mean this as a positive thing, is that he enabled the greatest book title for a biography after his death, Only the Good Die Young. It's maybe the best fucking biography title that's ever existed. And people were saving it for him. They could have used it for a ton of bastards. You can only use that title one time. And you think about it as the human race. Anyone can write a book about anybody. And here we are, the title of a biography for a piece of shit who dies when they're old, Only the Good Die Young, which is perfect. No one wrote about anyone else. And no one disagrees that it works for Kissinger. That is humanity standing together. As far as I'm concerned. That is humanity standing together. It's a fucking great title.
There is more unanimity in cheering on the death of Kissinger than there is Hitler somehow. It's actually kind of incredible.
I love it. It makes me happy.
It's weird. It's weird. There's you don't really see Kissinger apologists. I'm actually kind of surprised we got one. Probably a undergrad poly student of some kind.
My uncle defended him.
Really?
It was in a difficult place, or he just knows a lot of things. It was blah, 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 and it's like, dude, like once you start down the road of defending him, you're already believing a world where Henry Kissinger could be right. You're already in a place where Henry Kissinger will be right. That's just how it works. Like, because he's flatly generally wrong. And also war crimes. Many of them.
People die in war, Brooks. Don't there have to be rules for there to be crimes, Brooks?
Yeah, friendly fire happens every day. What are you talking about? Why do we care? My dad said that to me when I was upset about things recently. I found it a stunning response, and I still do. Let's do tonight. I'm just gonna check how long these fucking episodes are for this unforgivingly.
Look, for the pilot's probably gonna be a bit longer.
I've got it on. I've got it. 1 second. I'm pulling them up.
It's 41 minutes. It's actually on the shorter end. I'm surprised it's short.
That's 2 hours for 3 episodes.
It's under 2 hours, just under.
That is not under 2 hours. 40 minutes.
But that's going to be a long. That's going to be the pilot. That's going to be one of the longer ones, right? So the next one should probably be a little bit shorter.
Why would the pilot be longer?
Pilots are usually longer. They're usually like
Kissinger based tipped $1. Kissinger believed in realpolitik. Unless you have any system, you have to replace that. Then stop deconstructing it with no goal in mind.
You have no idea what any of those words mean. Realpolitik does not mean the opposite of constructivism. I don't know what you're talking about. Realpolitik. Jesus Christ.
That's an amazing. I like that chat a lot.
I do. More of those, please.
I want more of those.
Realpolitik is the aggrandizement of having absolutely no ethical standards whatsoever, on the grounds that, hey, ethical standards are inconvenient. Surprise. Obviously they are. Otherwise everybody would have them. That's it.
It's a thing that falsifies itself with like even the slightest bit of, again, you have to be in a place where it presupposes its own reality. And if you do that, enjoy yourself. It's the nature of logic that a lot of people don't get, is that logic doesn't disprove a system. It proves truths within a system. So you're not stepping outside of any of those things. And realpolitik itself, as like this silly political philosophy, presumes that everything sort of that exists needs to become this pragmatic garbage circle. And it's, oh, dude, it hurts my brain to even start to try to break it down.
Like,
I don't want to do it today. I want to spend time on it. You know what? Let's do a realpolitik critique. They didn't mean to rhyme. That was not good. Let's do it.
Realpolitik frequently results in adhering to rigid plans that involve the wanton destruction of whole lots of innocent people. Why? Because there is an ideological assertion that the interest of some state is aligned with the greater good. And the problem is that runs roughshod over all of the little organic things that actually might resolve conflicts. For example, Vietnam, which ran for, I think, roughly half a decade longer than it would have as a result of his meddling. So on and so forth. Like, it's not just that Kissinger got people killed because he was willing to get his hands dirty. It's that he got more people killed than was necessary because he pretended getting his hands dirty with more people's blood was necessary. He pretended it was super double plus logical, but it wasn't. It wasn't.
It's
so he gets so as there are agreements and peace treaties and terminations of conflicts punctuating the mass murder, he claimed credit, but that's not really
because
what happened.
He was able to, because the nature of realpolitik is that the diplomatic or the elite or what the elite specifically say in terms of state power is the reality of what they can do and what they mean, and also that that's all that really matters when it comes to their power, instead of...
Kissinger, a poopy head, tipped $1. Kissinger killed 4 million people, including in places like East Timor that almost nobody even knows about.
Yeah, he did a lot of crimes.
Well, we're going to be talking about Pakistan next Friday, I think, so we'll talk about we'll be able to talk about Kissinger a little bit.
The episodes are 39, 35, and 40 minutes for the first.
I told you they were shorter. I freaking told you they were shorter. 41's the first one, then they're shorter. It's under 2 hours, and just under 2 hours, a little bit.
All right, but then I'm not pausing, and we're not rewinding once.
Well, let's do 2. Let's do 2.
I'm not rewinding or pausing. I will talk over things, and I don't care if I miss a line.
Talking over things is fine, because the audio recording is not going to record the video. So that works fine.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, I want to go. And In Time, I think, is still live, so I've set up to raid them. Let me double check
just in case.
I'm doing that right now. They are still live. All right, we're going to go quickly, so they are still live. Brooks.
Be watching for us later.
Bye.